All right. Usually I like to go for about good 10 minutes, you know? Good 10 minutes on that intro, but I don't feel like it today. I am now 28 years old, and let me tell you guys something. The day after my birthday, I felt 28. All right? It has been just one thing after another. One thing after another, fucking destroying my body. So right now, I cannot barely fucking move. My fucking back is ruined. I twisted the wrong way, and my back is gone. It's just over. It's all over. So I have a heating pad on it. I have a heating pad on it. And we're just chilling. Okay? I don't have anything really opened up for today, except for I did just see a, epic rap battles of history of Jordan Peterson versus Destiny? Jordan Peterson versus Destiny. Guy only has 429 subscribers. Let's make sure this motherfucker didn't put any copyrighted music. There we go. Just want to see what this is all about really quick. This is my own curiosity, all right? Also, wait, why the fuck is... Oh, did food shops?
See, this is the fucking problem, right? Like, food shops only has meme positions. Food shops doesn't actually have any positions.
She does. Come on.
Food shops just want screen time. That's it.
Food shops, give us your hottest take. Give us your
That's
hottest
true.
take.
Glass
What's your
Gaza.
hottest take, food shops?
My hottest take.
My hottest
She
take
is the
food
hottest
shops
take.
is real.
Not here. Not here. If it's my hottest take, there's a reason why I deleted it off my channel. And I removed it. But
Probably
My
all just
hottest take
three
is we
food
should-
shops isn't
It's
real.
fine. The worst that will happen is you get me banned on Twitch and fulfill my lifelong ambition.
Hey Beckett, you know what my hottest take is? We should just dissolve the fucking monarchy at this point.
Fuck
sorry.
you. Fuck you. We're
no,
not getting
Vivian
rid
is
of the
right.
monarchy,
I
it's
actually
essential.
have no principal positions. All my
I love
takes
you.
are meme takes.
I did it just trigger
That
Beckett.
seemed to be the case, yeah.
Listen, Kat, if you are watching, okay, because you are actively DMing me right now, beware Vivian. Vivian, like, Be aware. That's all I'll say.
These people doing this. Does that make sense?
Wick, is that you?
It
Oh
is
my
me.
god, you're alive.
You unblocked me on Twitter.
I missed you.
Madam.
Get better aim. But yeah.
Ironically, the best thing for your back is a stand. If you get a standing desk that can actually fix back problems. Well, it's not like I have chronic back problems. It's just that I twisted the wrong way, right? And then it's been over for like 3 days. You know, it just all fucking over. But the kid panel last night went hard. Well, maybe we're going to watch that. Maybe that's what we'll watch. I'm getting updates on this panel in a real time from Food Shop. So it must have been a fucking banger. Maybe we'll watch this here in a second. But I do want to watch 1 second. Let's watch the fucking rap battle, okay? I want to see the epic rap battle of history here. I am Kermit the Frog. I really, there are not a lot of like impressions that I wish I could just do right off the cuff, but Kermit the Frog is just one of those impressions that I feel like has so much utility. You can be Jordan Peterson. You can just make fun of someone for something that they said. Hello, I am Kermit the Frog. I'm not very good at it, but.
Sit down, son, and let me tell you a tale about how to rescue your father from the belly of the whale. I traveled the world, filling stadiums wherever I go. Meanwhile, your wife's getting fucked while you're playing Factorio. Bisexual, blue hair, leftist, yep, you check all the boxes for BPD, autism, and being obnoxious. Think because you talk fast and pull optical tricks, you're saying anything of substance will suck my dick. 40 years I studied philosophy and discovered the fact that my highest moral imperative is kicking your ass and saving the West from postmodern neo-Marxists like you. You left your webcam on, Steven. How about you clean your room? When I'm finished with you, I will have converted your fans. They'll be so moved by my arguments that they'll stop being trans. I offer young men hope, meaning, knowledge, and facts. Your fans watch you defend incest? Good luck with that.
Sorry, yo, bro, this goes hard.
You know I had to do it to you. Oh, God.
I'm a little disappointed. I thought we were here to debate, but the metaphysics of the back of my hand eating your face. Not listen to dog shit ad homs while you try not to cry. But if you want to make this...
Wait, hold on. Did he use an AI for Destiny's voice there? Because that sounds a lot like Destiny. It sounds more like Destiny than it does fucking Peterson.
Steven? Oh, God.
I'm a little disappointed. I thought we were here to debate, but the metaphysics of the back of my hand eating your face. Not listen to dog shit ad homs while you try not to cry. But if you want to make this blood sports, you pick the wrong guy. Every time I see you, you're fucking crying and bitching and seething and sucking the cock for religion you don't even believe in. And losing your license, soon they're gonna rescind your diploma. When I'm finished with you, you'll wish that you were back in a coma. You were semi-coherent as a professor back in the day, before your obsession with dick surgery rotted your brain. The men just fuck your mind, Jordan. You can't get back on top of this. Leave you sucking dick for Percocets like Milo Yiannopoulos. It was
Jesus Christ.
7 Max in yourself. When the manifesto drops, you'll be another notch in the belt. And when it's all over, Jordan, you ain't getting to heaven, cause you just got your ass wrecked by a dude who's 5'7". Okay, well, it was nice knowing you. I do to Reno.
That was pretty rough on Mr. Peterson.
I have one more verse. Going after my addiction, man, that just feels wrong. Must be hard living in that 6'3" shallow with Hassan. I'd stick around longer, Steven, but I have lessons to teach. Mama Lena gets strange, man, on her by ABBA and preach. You fucking StarCraft nerd, you think you're smarter than me? I taught at Harvard, bitch. I have a PhD. You wanna cancel me? Watching me for 40 and slick? How about you keep your girl off of this Canadian dick?
I bang OnlyFans models every night of the week. Your fans only give them money for a peek at their feet. I wreck conservatives by day, wreck pussy by night, and at least people actually wanna fuck my wife. I built leftist view too in the conservative age, while you progressed to Piaget's pre-operational stage. You used to be a professor, but you just got outclassed. So take your metaphysical substrate and shove it right up your ass. That's D to the double G, bitch.
Jesus Christ. D to the double G, bitch. Inshallah, brothers. That was actually pretty fucking good. I wasn't expecting too much out of that, but that was pretty fucking good. Okay, Food Shops really wants me to watch this thing. Oh, speaking of which, there's Food Shops. when you sent me the first clip, I thought it was going to be you saying "Glass Gaza," which, by the way, I got an audio clip of Food Shop saying "Glass Gaza" last night, so that will be a new dono sound. Just so everybody knows, for dono sounds, for follow sounds, basically any type of activity that happens on my stream, it's just going to be Food Shop saying "Glass Gaza." You're going to go take a shower, yeah, because you feel dirty, because you know everyone's going to see you as the Glass Gaza bitch. Yeah. Okay. Should we
These
watch
people
it
doing
from...
this. Does that make sense?
Wick, is that you?
It
Oh
is
my
me.
god, you're alive.
We'll watch it from Food Shop's perspective to
I
give her the
missed
ad
you.
revenue.
Madam.
Get better aim. But yeah.
Destroyed.
Wow.
Okay, so I need to... What do I need to do?
It's like a
next? I need to
reunion party in here. Nice.
make- Oh, hey, Shops.
Hey, Sunday.
Has that bridge been burnt, by the way? Between you and Sunday, or is that just like, is it burning?
How do I...
Is Samantha even here still?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I'm here,
Okay.
Wick. I'm here and ready to go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, sweet.
It's a plank. It's just a
Alright,
plank
do
of
your
wood
thing,
over
skip
a
the,
over a.
cameras turned on and all that shit.
Let me
Oh,
shower.
I'm turning on cameras. Give me a
What?
second
You
now.
think I'm holding you back from showering?
Didn't put on my beauty makeup, so put this.
Clean
book
yourself, nasty
away.
bitch.
Yeah, what you doing? What I'm reading.
Which 50 Shades are you on?
47. I'm almost to the top.
Wick, can you at least take a break from the internet?
Let's just go ahead and skip forward a whole bunch.
You have to submit it. Could...
Okay, I don't know why I was asked what it said.
research.
So instead,
Up right now. History of Hamas, 1948 Palestine War, Israel's dangerous delusion.
Something that I've noticed over the past couple of days, with President Sunday's incessant tweeting at people who he despises, is that, like, especially with Destiny, he's castigating Destiny for learning about the conflict, not in Sunday's perspective, right? Like, when people tell you to educate yourself on the Palestinian conflict, they're not saying read just like the facts as they are. They're saying, hey, you need to learn about the Palestinian plight, and that's it. They don't want you to look at the they don't want you to look at the initial, what was the first war that they had, the 6-day war, where they invaded all on like the Independence Declaration of Israel. They want to do everything after that. They want to look at everything after they tried to destroy Israel like 3 times. But if you where's the I tried to pay attention to but couldn't pay attention to a Destiny debate that was posted yesterday, maybe? Let me see here. Yeah, I tried to pay attention
sea
to
of
this.
people.
Jesus Christ, that's loud. Holy fucking shit. But Destiny, for the first, because I guess I got to around 30 minutes in this. For the first 30 minutes, Destiny's asking him one question. Why did the Nakba happen? Why did Israel kick out all those Palestinians, like 700,000 Palestinians, right? And the guy will never fucking answer.
Wait,
There were no rational
wait.
reasons.
Hold on.
Motivating.
I understand. Hold on. I just want to be super clear, okay? I haven't even taken a hard stance. I'm leaning in one direction. I haven't taken a hard stance one way or another yet, okay? I'm just saying that my issue is I notice that when people speak about this conflict, a lot of stuff will be brought up, but people choose the stopping point of history in a very peculiar way. For instance, saying that Arab-Palestinian hostility has been fostered by the Israeli state since the ethnic cleansing of 48 ignores what precipitated the ethnic cleansing of 48, which was the
He
Brits
said
leaving
exactly what I
and
said.
all
Holy
the Arab
shit. Maybe I
countries saying,
subliminally copied that
that's
take.
the only reason
All
why I
my
have a place
takes
to
come
live,
from
right?
Destiny, guys.
Okay, but I don't understand why that's.
Israel fought war after war after war to establish their right to exist. That's the only reason why they have a place to live, right?
Not what I'm looking
Exactly this thing, right? So
call that ethnic.
39, yep.
Right, but Theodore Herzl said, "I don't think
Plan-Dalet come after. What came before Plan-Dalet? What came before?
He's trying to get this guy to say, "Hey, yeah, the Arabs attacked the Israelis," but listen to how this guy weasels around, literally, even acknowledging that they invaded.
For instance, you keep bringing up the 800,000 Arab Palestinians that were expelled in 48, right? Which I think is closer to 700,000. But regardless, for those people that were for those people that were expelled, why were they expelled in 48?
Why were the Arabs expelled?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so the majority were war refugees. A large minority were physically removed. There was a plan called Plan-Dalet.
I'm aware.
Which authorized.
But why did Plan-Dalet come after? What came before Plan-Dalet? What came before?
Plan-Dalet was not
the invasion of Israel.
A response to Arab policy against indigenous Jews. It was a response to. It was a security measure, essentially.
Yeah, but a security measure for what? Why did they need a security measure, though?
Well, because they're at war. They're at war.
Correct. Okay.
And they also had an ideological vision.
Well,
let's just completely gloss over the fact that how many nations was it, like 10 countries declared war at the same time? Belligerents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 countries. 6 countries versus Israel. 7 countries against Israel. All right. 7 countries against Israel. But let's just completely gloss over that fact because we need to specifically only talk about the Palestinian, plight of the Palestinian people. Yeah, obviously that's a really bad thing. What has happened to the average Palestinian as a result of all of this shit is really, really bad, and it's mostly at the hands of the Israelis. No argument from me there, but where I have an issue is, and I got into this huge fight with my older brother on my birthday. Because there's no event that I can go to because I'm the politics guy to everybody. There's nowhere that I can go to that people don't try to pull me into conversations about fucking politics. I get into this huge fight with my older brother about the Israel-Palestine conflict over time. And for how little people think about this every day in their lives, people are ultra fucking invested in the Palestinian side. Like my brother, I always think of him as like a smarter but less red Hassan, right? Like my older brother he's like he was a frat guy in college. He's a very good, he has a political mind, right? But he reads headlines and he'll watch videos, I guess, from specific people. I don't know who, but holy shit, the emotional investment in this stuff completely clouds, I want to say 80 to 90% of people's ability to actually look at what's going on, right? I don't have any emotional investment in Israel. I don't have any emotional investment to the Palestinians, right? I can look at it. I can make a judgment call for what I think is right or wrong, right? I think that the way that the Israelis have treated the Palestinians is pretty abhorrent. But I also think, hey guys, guess what? I also think that the shit that's happened to Israel and to Jews in the Middle East is really fucking wrong too, right? This is a back and forth where no one's hands are clean. No one's hands are clean. And for everyone to automatically just say Israel is the bad guy in this just completely misses who starts the fights, who why, everyone wants to look at the reasons why Palestinians and other Arabs have become radicalized against Israel, no one wants to look at the reasons why Israelis are radicalized against the Arabs, against Muslims, against, you know, anyone that has been a threat to them in the past. Nobody does. It's the fucking craziest shit in the entire world to me. Yo, how's it going, Justin? You still been kicking it over there on Kick? Oh shit! I wasn't paying attention. I don't know why I did that. Okay, there we go.
Salam Fahid, a plan for peace.
Okay, so why don't you talk
Google
about
Translate
that?
even.
So why don't you talk about that more often?
So we talk about research and things like that. I'm doing a lot of research on this.
So why don't you host panels like that?
What do you mean? Like a research panel? I expect the people to come to be researched, and if they don't, that's on them.
So
I think
instead,
it would be a really weird panel to just have a research team.
So instead, the last panel, right? And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Is the last panel you hosted anti-Semitism on the left?
Yeah.
Okay. And for the
what
majority,
did I do the day before that?
And on the majority,
what did I do the day before? No. What did I do the day before that?
I do not remember. What is the topic?
You came on.
What is the topic?
Loaderbox was there. Me and Loaderbox had a real good talk about all that.
Okay, I didn't know if you guys did a panel in between that. Okay, so that's why I was asking.
Oh no, we didn't do another panel. No, I don't always do panels, right? Sometimes I just bring people on and talk to them.
To be fair to Food Shop, she streams for like 8 hours a day. I can see how they kind of blur together.
This is a clarification question. Okay, I'm not attacking you here. All right. Okay. For that one. Okay, fair. Okay, I don't know what you guys have specifically talked about for the majority of the time. Okay, I don't know that.
Oh my god, this is cringe. Handle fucking lover spat and fucking DMs. There was a topic being talking. Like, yeah, go DM with nobody gives a shit.
I'm very quickly. I'm a little bit perplexed by the notion that one can't, for example, take down posters that have a clear propaganda purpose without being anti-Semitic. Could it not be the case they're simply targeting the propaganda itself and they don't have...
I think that propaganda posters, sure. Posters of people who are like literally kidnapped. Like if it's a poster that's like calling for the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, I 100% like agree. Like I don't really care if people want to tear that down, right? I do not care. But if he's talking about all of the videos going around of people tearing down posters of the people kidnapped by Hamas, I'm sorry. Extra fucking cringe. Unbelievably cringe. It is actually on like, depending on why they're doing it, right? Could be explicitly anti-Semitic or implicitly anti-Semitic depending on who they are or what their reasons are, you know? What are we watching? Food Shop's coverage of this panel that she was on. What is this? Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't have a problem with these. I have no problem with putting up the faces of people who were kidnapped by a terrorist organization. At all. They can't reach those? True. Fucking true. They surely can't. But like, yeah, it's just so fucking crazy to me that people want to like sit there and justify pretty abhorrent behavior. I'm sorry. If you think that like the people who were kidnapped by Hamas deserve to have been kidnapped by Hamas, or that there's like any justification for taking civilian hostages as human shields for, you know, whatever reason you want to fucking put out there, you're absolutely justifying the actions in totality of Hamas. You're justifying it.
Have any animus towards you?
Yeah, if it's IDF advertisement posters, that's fine. Yeah, like if it like, or if it's something like specifically that's like calling for the like glassing of Gaza, that shit's, yeah, it's completely untenable. It's completely unacceptable. All right, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. Not at all. I do have a problem with taking down posters of people who were kidnapped by Hamas. That shit's crazy to me. That shit's like actually fucking crazy. Especially when people are justifying the actions of Hamas. It just boggles my fucking mind.
Whatsoever. I'm not going to stake my position on whether they do. I don't know them. But what I do know is that the people in question were in Lebanon during was it 2006? The invasion. Their place around them was bombed when they were children. The house next to them was 6 women.
Oh, Rez joined.
These were anti-civilian bombings by the IDF.
Okay, that's one example.
Why on earth
but
couldn't
we
they
can make the
simply?
statement that if a bunch of
you guys here?
people went to a
Why on earth? Hang on, I was asking with the question. So why on earth would you
something
need?
over it.
Why on earth would you need to be anti-Semitic in order to take those down? Like they have, as I think in your
Because they kidnapped them because they are Jews. They kidnapped them because they are Jews. And so if you're taking down posters, spreading awareness, even if everyone's already aware, even if you feel like everyone's already aware of people who were kidnapped because they were Jews, it really comes off as anti-Semitic. And could really, really make, like, for all of the arguments that people have made for, oh well, we should restrict freedom of speech to make sure that vulnerable vulnerable minorities feel safe in society. Do you think that maybe the average Jewish person might feel a little bit worried when they see people who were targeted because they were Jewish, right? Being taken down, not even in a country that that these things are like ultra like relevant to everyday life, right? Like I wouldn't be surprised to see that shit in, Palestine. I wouldn't be surprised to see that shit in Jordan, in Lebanon, right? That wouldn't be surprising to me at all. But you know what is surprising? Seeing that shit happen in... Oh shit, I thought my stream went down. Seeing that shit happen in the United States, seeing that shit happen in England, seeing that shit happen in a Western country, right? Where, it's not so close to us. It's not affecting our everyday lives. And these people didn't do anything wrong. They are literal fucking civilians. One second, let me kill this motherfucker. Come here, come here. Come on, die, so I can finish my shit. Dead. Okay. Would you consider the IDF using the German girl in their advertising as exploitative? I'm agnostic, just curious about your perspective. It depends. That one right there purely depends on how it's being used. That is contextual. I don't think inherently it is, but it would depend on what they're actually using, like how they're using it,
panel, what Max pointed out, these are missing persons posters on a different continent from where these people are being held hostage. The place where they're being held hostage is being actively bombed by Israel. And while they're being actively bombed months after 10/8,
like if the IDF said, like, put that poster up and said, the Arabs are coming for you, join the IDF. Okay, that's pretty fucking gross, right? That's pretty gross. But if it's just like images like this are why we're going into, if like the message of the poster is images like this are why we're going into Gaza, then yeah, I mean, not only is that factually true, and even if it's propaganda, right? Not all propaganda is inherently like, just lies, right? Maybe it's slanted in one direction, but it's not necessarily lies. Then yeah, it's all about the context of how they're using.
These posters serve no actual function except to justify the ongoing bombing.
See, this is
or to raise awareness, or to show the faces of victims of actual fucking terrorism who are possibly still alive in captivity with a terrorist group. Yeah, sorry, Sunday. Yeah, like I actually think that Sunday really perfectly rides this line of justifying all of the actions of Hamas while ostensibly condemning the actions of terrorism, right? But justifying basically everything that they do, right? Not like making it unjustifiable for any response, whether it's even just like showing the faces of victims from Israel's side or from pro-Israel people, right? It feels like even peaceful responses like, hey, look, these people who were kidnapped by a terrorist organization are unjustifiable because everything that Israel does, whether it is peaceful or non-peaceful, is there to justify the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. That's just so cringe.
Palestine protests in America when it's happening way over there.
I wasn't asking you.
Same shit. Yeah, you wouldn't. You ran away from me last time, you fucking loser.
Hey, stick on the topic.
Okay, if I may answer the question, it's the same reason, right? We have, again, news footage of what's happening in Gaza and Palestine, and people tweet about it and bring awareness of it because these people are still being held hostage by Hamas.
Sure, but there's a thing that's
happening. And
yeah,
while
sure,
if I may finish in answering your question, sir, right? While no, I can't call 911 and report to the police officer because I found one of these kids. What this does is that it humanizes the victims. It lets people build awareness of
where the victims are being held as being bombed, sir.
Right, they're still missing.
Wait, what did you just say?
Where the victims are being having what action they have? What action is going to be triggered by?
Is that it humanizes the victims. It lets people build awareness of
where the victims are being held as being bombed, sir.
Right, they're still missing.
What the fuck are the words that he's saying? Let me slow it down.
Awareness of
where the victims are being held as being bombed, sir.
Right, they're still missing.
I have no fucking clue what he's saying. Can anybody translate what the fuck he's saying right there? Where the victims are being held is what?
Build awareness of
where the victims are being held as being bombed, sir.
Right, they're still missing, and
where the victims are
being bombed.
Having what action they have? What action is going to be triggered by these posters?
Oh, what action is going to be triggered by all these people showing images of the horrible shit happening to Gaza? It's spreading awareness. You don't get to fucking show all your victims and expect that the other side is completely or just say that like the other side is completely unjustified in showing their victims, because those people are victims. Those people are victims. They were living their everyday fucking lives. They weren't in the fucking West Bank gunning down fucking Palestinians all the time, which you would have a much stronger case, even though like it would be highly contextual whether or not the settlers were actively doing something right then that would justify Palestinians killing them, right? But the people in fucking Israel proper, even inside of the, I believe, even inside of the borders of the 1948 partition plan, right? Like, those people did nothing wrong. He places where the victims is being bombed. That's what he's saying. Yeah. I just couldn't. I couldn't understand him.
In a different country.
Question, real quick. Question: who is holding the hostages?
Hamas.
Okay, who is Israel at war with on like the best notions, right?
Hamas.
Yeah, so that's probably why.
Yeah, that's a little bit trickier, actually. Ostensibly, it's Hamas.
But yeah, but like if we're talking about the actual declaration of war that they made, they declared war on Hamas. They didn't declare war on whoever's running the West Bank. They didn't declare war on Gaza. They declared war on Hamas. And so yeah, the hostages are being held by Hamas.
But they're bombing Gazan civilian centers pretty indiscriminately. And there have been plans released that they want to clear out the entire zone. So,
okay, I haven't seen those plans. Could you provide them?
No, he's talking about there was a leaked document with three options.
No, I just don't know about it. I'm just very interested.
I'm just letting you know there's a leaked document, right, from their planning meetings or their high-ups. It's a high-up thing. There was 3 options presented. One of them is clearing out the zones, yes.
Did they choose that plan?
Is that like the preferred
food shops? You gotta get rid of the fucking pedophile fucking anime game. Okay, it's bothering me. It's bothering me. Also, I heard this a lot recently here. Hamas is actually responsible for war crime when they hide civilian buildings and hospitals. If Israel fires back, it's not a war crime. That's true. A lot of the things that people are calling war crimes are actually not actually war crimes. They're just things that Israel did that are mean. And let me be clear, they are very mean, they're very, very bad, but it's not like they're unjustifiable, right? Whereas actions from Hamas are unjustifiable, actual literal just war crimes. But most of, if not with the exception of very few exceptions that can be absolutely proven in this conflict right here, my understanding is all of their targets have been justified. They have shown hey, they got missiles in this building. We're going to blow up the building. All right. Hey, do you know this? I think that there's one strike that is probably not justifiable whatsoever, which would be the strike on the refugee camp in southern Gaza. Right. But for the most part, damn, I'm not getting any of the fucking cards I wanted. I'm just fucking myself over trying to skip for it. Yeah, outside of that one, I don't think there's been a specific instance that people can point towards that Israel has specifically targeted something that did not have military value. Whereas the one in the southern, they were striking one high up Hamas guy, right? But when you gauge that military advantage versus the military or the civilian casualties on that one, there is no justification, because it's not like they were launching missiles from that area. They were doing what? They were attacking a specific individual, which, for the most part, I don't think that the arguments that we should just be sending special ops in, spec ops, right, to take out the little militarized rooms in giant civilian buildings, right? Because it's not like Call of Duty, right, where you're zip lined down into the middle of a hostile area and then you can just zip line out. That is just not the case. Right, they're going to see/hear the fucking helicopter, right, that drops you off. They're going to they're going to shoot at you, right, and then extraction is going to be impossible. It's just not like it is in Call of Duty, unfortunately. If that was the case, that would be fucking based as fuck. They could just send in, spec ops units after spec op unit, right? They're going to have a bunch of casualties in those spec op units, but they're not going to, they could just Call of Duty it, right? Precision strikes with SEAL Team 6. Just not, it's not the same in Gaza, Israel is a nation. Hamas is a terror group. Big distinction. Yes. And a terror group that explicitly and knowingly uses human shields. And openly uses human shields.
One, because I know that they brought.
I
know that they ended up going ahead.
I mean, as far as we're concerned, the ground invasion started weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, there have been incursions since 10/8, regardless, that have been on the ground. So, yeah, if you want to call that the ground invasion, then that's fair too, I guess.
Okay, this is what we're gonna do.
Okay.
I think that also, if there's going to be a whole, I don't know what the best option is, going forward. There is no option that is not military. Hamas has seen to that with the scale of the attack, the type of attack that they did. There is no option that is non-military. So all we can try and do is try and tactician out what the best military response would be in the Gaza Strip, right? And it's not going to be just wholesale, just only missile strikes, because everyone's going to be pissed off at that. People say, well, if you put boots on the ground there, then that's just an invasion. Then that's unjustifiable. Okay, well, if you can't do missile strikes, you can't do, boots on the ground, then what can you do, right? And that's the big thing. The best thing that I've heard so far is one guy said that the U.S. has been advising Israel on doing, I don't know what the maneuver is called or what the military tactical whatever the fuck name of it is, but it's essentially big incursion, and then pull out after you achieve one objective, and then you do another big incursion to achieve one objective, and then you pull everyone out. And it seems like that's probably the best of both worlds that you could hope for, but we're talking, we're talking, degrees of bad, and the degrees of bad can vary a lot.
Was muted. This is what we're gonna do, okay?
They couldn't even confirm if they got the commander. Ugh.
Between Rezi, Samantha, Food Shops, Beckett, Sunday, I already know your position. You made that kind of clear already. What I need to just one at a time.
Damn it.
Do you
It's hot
think
as fuck up here
that people that take down posters of the captives, of the hostages, people that take down these posters, is it necessarily, inherently anti-Semitic? We'll start with Rezi.
Yeah, so I don't want to say that's inherently anti-Semitic. I do want to say that it shows a
But it
lack
looks-
of humanity, and that I don't. Not only do I not respect those people, I don't actually view them as humans. I think that if you're going to go ahead and
Oh God, Rezi is so based what he wants to be. Holy shit, I miss Rez so fucking much. Holy shit, he's like the leftiest, like lovey, peace-loving, everyone should get along, lovey-dovey dude in the entire world. But when he decides to go hard, I don't even see them as human. God, I love Rezi so fucking much.
measure your joy and your actions through the displeasure of others, you are a shit person. I don't care if you're an anti-Semite or not. I don't really want to share an earth with you, regardless.
Beckett.
So,
Wait, I'm sorry. What was the last part of that? I was reading chat.
Anti-Semite or not, I don't really want to share an earth with you, regardless.
Beckett.
That's so base.
So, I don't think it's necessarily anti-Semitic. I think that there can be multiple reasons behind it, in the same way that putting the posters up isn't necessarily propaganda. I think it's very fair to say that it probably is, but individuals could have other reasons. I'd say that, because I've been saying that the left has a racism and anti-Semitism problem for a very long time. I don't think it's an overt thing. I don't think I'd even label it as the pro-Palestinian movement itself. I think there is a wider problem there that I've ended up talking about tonight and a couple of times of, it's not the overt thing of the Jews are evil and doing terrible things that need to be eradicated. It's the way, particularly in England, and I'm aware this might be an English take, the Jewish community gets coupled in with basically being white and rich, and then basically disregarded for any of the historical context or anything else, which I see as basically a quiet form of anti-Semitism. I'm not quite sure what else to call it, and I think I would take the position that you can be racist without necessarily being overtly like black people are.
Yeah, let me be clear. For all the people that are ultra pro-Palestinian, ultra pro-Zionist in my, or pro-Israeli in my chat, like, you're both gonna hate this take. After Israel goes in and fucking donkey stomps the fuck out of Hamas, Israel has to help rebuild Gaza. They're probably, unfortunately, I don't see a world where a structured, planned, with an end date in mind, okay? I don't see a future where a structured, planned, end dated occupation happens, right? I don't see a world where, like, that's avoided, right? And in addition to that occupation, they're probably, unfortunately, going to have to, oh, I'm sorry, not unfortunately. This is the fortunate thing. They're going to have to rebuild Gaza, right? At partly their expense, because it's not just because, oh, well, we did bad things. It's for, their own optics. It's for their own good. It is something that they need to do for themselves to not only have a better, optical thing on the world stage, but also so that they can, try to de-radicalize some of the people that are in Gaza, right? De-radicalize them and not have to deal with them like the second that they pull out, right? They're probably going to have to install and strengthen the Palestinian Authority, right? And work with them. Is there a war somewhere? Sure is. We can't avoid it. There's no talking about anything except for Israel-Palestine from now on. Dang, Brandon. That's the biggest criticism of Israel by leaders, that they don't have an after plan. Yeah. The problem is, like, and I can sympathize with the leaders on this, right? It's not like they have much. Wait, did I choose the tower? Am I an idiot? God damn it. I should have just skipped. Like, I sympathize with the leaders that there had to be immediate action taken because there are hostages, right? There is no negotiation with Hamas because you see what we've seen historically, what they do when they get, just like any concession out of Israel, right? With no negotiations, they take all the credit and then they get more support, right? So we can't allow that to happen. We can't allow, we can't allow the hostages to just be held there indefinitely. So there has to be some kind of action taken immediately. So you have to come up with a plan that is going to be ultra complex, ultra difficult, both politically and, logistically. I can sympathize with that to a great deal. Hold on. Do I have the... I do. But you have to have it. And you have some of the best political minds in the entire world at your disposal helping you, with all of the Western world basically backing Israel 100%. Support for Hamas has really hurt support for Palestine in general. In my country, so-called normies just can't see support for terrorism, and that kind of governing isn't seen as a solution for Palestine. Yeah, I know. The normies that I've seen, who probably would be way more lefty, have been very, very weirded out by how many people they've seen talking about Hamas, right, and praising Hamas. These are actual normies, like at work and stuff, who I really try to avoid talking about politics with my coworkers, because most people my age, especially in the kind of jobs that I work, are going to be very, very, very left-leaning, right? Very left-leaning young people. But even those very left-leaning young people are a little bit weirded out by how strong the support for Hamas has been online, right? So this is having an effect on, Palestinians. Lefties are hurting Palestinians more than they are helping, in my humble opinion.
Evil and dumb or whatever, you can still take racist actions. And I'd say it's that kind of thing that I have an issue with. And I just would like it more challenged, because I think it's something that should be highlighted because it needs improvement. Not because I'm trying to condemn anyone. Sorry, that was long-winded, but it's...
Yeah, do you think the posters are tearing down the posters is anti-Semitic? Yes or no?
Not yet. Samantha, go.
Wait, he answered that. He said not necessarily.
A lack of consistency. Yes, I think the action of taking the posters down are anti-Semitic. Maybe not the people necessarily, because they might be coming at it from an emotional reaction. But I can guarantee that if pro-Palestinian people or whatnot, or leftists or whatever, were putting up posters of kidnapped Palestinians by Israel, people started ripping them down, they would be labeled as Islamophobic or xenophobic or some shit.
That's so fucking true. One sec. What is this link right here?
Eventually, the Arab states will rise against Israel. They don't like Palestinians, but they hate the Jews more. It won't be like 1967. The rest.
Oh, 1 second. I have an even shorter clip. Twitter. Oh, it's /EasyGamerGG.
Middle East multicultural battle zone. Violence reamed the Gaza Strip today as fighting broke out between the one remaining Palestinian and the one remaining Israeli. The struggle over the Gaza Strip, which began long before the burn down, has stolen the lives of more than 99% of the region's inhabitants. Here is what the news satellite showed us this morning. The violence began when the Israeli army Lev Rosen entered the Gaza Strip and began building a permashed on the disputed land. The Israeli was forced back over the border after suffering a sprained ankle and a bleeding nose at the hands of the Palestinian army Amjad Olrud. Even after the retreat, the Palestinian bombarded Israel with rocks and empty fire ray cartridges for near 2 hours. One Israeli soldier was injured in today's fight. Hot young news out of the Middle East multicultural battle zone. Violence
I just
the
love
Gaza Strip
if you
today
pause
as
it.
fighting broke out between the one remaining Palestinian and the one remaining Israeli.
Literacy quasi. Literacy full up. Scars, leg, huge. Chest, bullet. Choose, guarana root. Cat bone. Trade is as a machinist and a soldier. Choose, metallic rings, and his trade is a remover.
The struggle over the Gaza Strip, which began long before the burn down,
I think it
has stolen
skills, shouting, machining, full fist making, fears ants, howler ants, and his blood density is fucking serious, dude. Fucking serious. This guy's blood density is only reasonable, and he fears grim women. Okay, we'll watch Gas's thing, okay?
The Arab states will rise against Israel. They don't like Palestinians, but they hate the Jews more. It won't be like 1967. The rest of the world will see by then what the Israelis do to us. They won't help when Egypt and Syria attack. Even Jordan. Israel will cease to exist. What?
This is a dream. You
Good
can't
song
take back
playing.
a country you never had.
You sound like a Jew.
Fuck you. I'm the voice inside your head telling you what you already know. You people have nothing to bargain with. You'll never get the land back. You'll all die old men in refugee camps waiting for Palestine.
We have a lot of children. They'll have children, so we can wait forever. And if we need to, we can make the whole planet unsafe for Jews.
You kill Jews, and the world feels bad for them and thinks you animals.
Yes. But then the world will see how they've made us into animals. They'll start to ask questions about the conditions in our cages.
You are Arabs. There are lots of places for Arabs.
You're a Jew sympathizer. Well, you Germans, you're too soft on Israel. Well, you give us money, but you feel guilty about Hitler. And the Jews exploit that guilt. My father didn't gas any Jews.
Tell me something, Ali.
What?
Do you really miss your father's olive trees? Do you honestly think you have to get back all that nothing, that chalky soil and stone hearts? Is that what you really want for your children?
It absolutely is. It'll take 100 years, but we'll win. How long did it take the Jews to get their own country? How long did it take the Germans to make Germany?
And look how well that worked out.
You don't know what it is not to have a home. That's why you European Reds don't get it. You say it's nothing, but you have a home to come back to. ETA, ANC, IRA, we all pretend we care about your international revolution, but we don't care. We want to be nations. Home is everything.
I might have to watch that movie. All right, back to what we were actually watching. If I can find it. There we are.
So I think the lack of consistency between having empathy for innocent Palestinians getting hurt and innocent Israelis getting kidnapped and hurt is fucking just abhorrent. There is no consistency. They only care about one side for who knows what reason. I think maybe it just might be anti-Semitism.
Who knows? It's a mystery. We may never know.
Well, it might be one is vested with the power of the state.
One more.
Not your turn, son.
Oh, is there one more?
Yeah, food shops, yeah.
Oh, sorry, food shops.
Enough virtue signaling. If they're an eyesore and they annoy me, I will tear them down myself, okay? All right? If they bore me and if they're annoying, I will tear them down my fucking self, okay? I will not fucking plaster my rhetoric with this soy cherry on top language, okay? I don't care if you view me as human or not, okay? I will tear them down myself, and I will tell you right now, it is not anti-Semitic to do so. If I'm a fucking janitor, it is my literal job description to
Okay, food shops, if you're watching right now, if you're done with your dumb fucking shower, this is the most retarded fucking response you could have. These people are not janitors walking by ripping down posters, all right? These are college students, pro-Palestine people, Arabs, whatever the fuck, right? That's who is ripping down the posters, not fucking janitors. Let me go back to the beginning of what she's saying. What the fuck?
if you view me as human or not, okay? I will tear them down myself, and I will tell you right now, it is not anti-Semitic to do so. If I'm a fucking janitor, it is my literal job description to tear down these posters because I need to clean the poles, and somebody put them up without a fucking permission or whatever the fuck, okay? I will do so myself.
Different.
That's it.
No one would disagree.
Hold on. Free shops, do you have a real position?
Yeah, it's not anti-Semitic. All right? Because you don't know what the fucking intention is. You can't just assume that.
Okay, if they were janitors, I don't like if a janitor was doing it or someone like invested with the power, like a cop. We see pictures of cops doing this in Britain, right? Like there's been videos shared of that. I don't think they're anti-Semitic. I think they're just doing their job. They were told to do that. That's fine. That's not who I'm talking about here. I'm talking about
no, hold on.
Who else is supposed to do their jobs,
No,
Nick?
hold on, shut the fuck up. Hold on. The actions of the British police in the way that they have dealt with different protests within Britain has elements of anti-Semitism. The British police are on record as worrying about like how they interact with Muslim communities and directly not being a racist, but not appearing to be racist. But those are absolutely actions they take.
Anti-Semites famous for not wanting to appear racist.
And,
I think just to speak very quickly to the point that Samantha was making about the inconsistency, I think there is a warranted inconsistency in a specific way, in that one party has the power of a state that is armed.
It's warranted to be inconsistent with your values. Jesus Christ, dude.
And protected by the United States, whereas the other one has the opposite situation. And
power
so
of the
when
state
you're talking,
backed by Iran.
when you're talking about,
I agree with this already.
Wait, what does this have to do with the posters?
No, hold on. Let President Sunday go. But I think I agree with where it's going. But
yeah, so when you're talking about the taking down the posters in this particular case, and once again, I don't know these people's motives, I just know a little bit about their history. When you're talking about taking down these posters in this case, well, there's an active bombing by one state against the other. There's a different quality to that act.
Yeah, there's not a state.
Than taking down posters of children held by a side that you're arming, right? So I think that's a key distinction there. I don't know if I would necessarily endorse either, but the one seems to be substantially worse than the other one.
So Sunday, my problem with that is we have a big push for educating people to separate Hamas from regular Palestinian people, right? So these posters aren't of like Bibi Netanyahu, right? These posters aren't of like people in the Israeli government.
True.
So we're still hard to push separation of like, hey, Hamas is the bad guys. Like we need to minimize harm and rhetoric and stuff against Palestinians. We should be consistent. Be like, yes, we can criticize the Israeli government for being shit fucks, but these people in the posters aren't these people.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, no, so that's where I'm saying my inconsistency is we're supposed to have empathy for innocent Palestinians. And even though we're not arming Palestine or whatever, we're letting people have these pro-Palestinian marches, pro-Hamas marches, wave their fucking Taliban flags, wave
not
their
in France
Hamas
anymore.
ISIS flags, jerk each other off with yelling, kill the Jews, gas the Jews. Even in my city it's happening. But we can't have the same level of empathy and support.
Okay, but stick to the
wait, Sunday, hold on. That are innocent Israelis, not affiliated with the government, not
No,
the
I'm hearing
government,
what
not
you're saying, but stick with the stick with the posters for a
I need
second.
to clarify something here because we're not talking about whether or not it's a good idea to take down the posters. We're not talking about whether or not it's.
I'm talking about my inconsistency for empathy being why I'm calling the action anti-Semitic.
Sure, but if we're bringing up like if we start going down the route of saying like, well, it would be hypocritical if you saw the opposite side, you would feel how they feel now. Going through the optics of this is not part of the discussion.
I think the optics matter a little bit because we're talking about propaganda, so they have an optical dimension too.
I just hate annoying people, and I hate annoying posters, okay?
I'll wrap up very quickly. So
I feel for you, kid. I feel for you.
Hang on, kid, you're being cut out by the other people, just so you know. We can't.
Yeah, I know. I will start muting. Okay, who's the fucking moderator now? Okay, but I really want to focus on whether or not the intentions of the people that are taking down these posters are anti-Semitic. Okay, that's where we're going to focus on. And we can just make sure that
you're gonna have to look at it case by case.
But I just want to respond very quickly. But I was about to respond to what Samantha just said to me.
Yeah, I just said I pass it off to Sunday. You can go after Sunday.
Thank you. So in this particular case,
hold on, gotta address something really quick. This Derek Stevens guy has been commenting on all of my videos. My wife's son is gay, and now he's in chat. And I want to say he is my favorite commenter of all fucking time. He is my favorite commenter of all fucking time. Bar none. I don't care what fucking epic meme you've ever posted in a comment on one of my YouTube videos, how much you've glazed me, how much you've sucked me off in the fucking comments. I don't care. This guy, Derek Stevens, my wife's son is gay, fucking funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. It is so consistent. It is so fucking funny to me. All right, let's keep going.
Talking about like empathy for the subjects of the posters. The key difference in this case would be that the posters in question are not going to do good for the people there. However, people being held by the Israeli state, this is drawing attention to something that would be otherwise skirted under the rug while they are aggressing on Gazans in particular. So that would be the key distinction there. Is that the one is actually helping the people who are taken because it's raising awareness about people who's taken.
He has returns.
Whereas in the other case,
he must
you're
inform
talking
us.
about a situation that is already the pretext for the bombing of Gaza in the first place, or one of the pretexts.
But our intent isn't to like harm the people of Gaza, the innocent people. Our intent is to go after Hamas. So like if we're going to bring the intent thing.
Yeah, but if we're using going after Hamas as a pretext for attacking Gaza,
if you're going to say that intent doesn't matter and like that these people are being harmed regardless, then you have to.
And,
no,
and
but
again,
I'm
as
saying
I told
if that is the thing, right? Then the intent behind pulling down the posters doesn't matter. The action itself is what's anti-Semitic.
As I told Kid Not Kin, whether they think.
Okay, I just want everyone to know. I told Food Shops to come on to talk about her retarded fucking statement about the her retarded fucking statement about the posters, and she says, "Oh yeah, no, obviously that's retarded." All right, so we can all give Food Shops a pass for being absolutely retarded on the panel. We all see she has admitted it. There is no defense for how fucking retarded it was. It was just retarded, and she acknowledges that. All right, we can keep going.
They're being anti-Semitic. Or
My father's
not,
gay?
the act
Oh,
is
even
inherently
more
anti-Semitic,
based, Chris.
Because what you were willing to do is stop the humanization of Israeli victims.
They don't require a
in
poster
order
to humanize.
Yeah, but the intent matters.
But your humanist is not conditioned on being kidnapped, Wick. That's a silly thing to say, as if they required the posters to be humanized.
They absolutely do.
One could make the argument that George Floyd doesn't need a square to be humanized for like the black movement in the United States. Like this is where this shit. Like if we applied the same line of logic to the black struggle in America.
I mean, I don't think he does need a square to be humanized. I don't think giving him a square humanized.
No, but if you were to say to take down George Floyd Square, it doesn't need to be there for him to be humanized. You'd be called racist.
No, it wouldn't. George Floyd doesn't need a square to be humanized.
You would be called
what a silly
racist by the
proposition
leftists in America. You are disingenuous right here.
What?
Yes, if a couple weeks, if a month after George Floyd died, you had people going around covering up, ripping off, like whitewashing the
Days
murals of
afterwards.
George
Let's
Floyd,
not say months.
That would be seen by almost everyone as racist, and it would be inherently a racist thing to
disagree
do.
with that.
Absolutely.
No, I disagree with that.
What, are you guys?
No,
That's
no, I
cap.
disagree
You're
with that.
coping hard
No,
right
I
now.
am not coping hard, and I totally disagree with you.
Okay, Kat's gonna derail this segment. We're gonna skip forward to this other timestamp she wants us to watch.
See, this is the fucking problem, right? Like, Food Shops only has mean positions. Food Shops doesn't actually have any positions.
She does. Come on.
Food Shops just wants screen time.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of gay dad action, Chris Collins. All right, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of gay dad action. If your dad is gay, that's fine. I know a couple of people whose dads were gay. Kind of sucks. Ask Sunday if he would be fine with defacing the George Floyd mural. Yeah, exactly. Or like the rainbow flag crosswalk that everyone talks about that got defaced by someone burning out over it. Like people wouldn't be okay with that. It is purely just like one of the huge issues that I have with talking about this with basically anyone. Right? Like, I'm fine with talking to people who are like extremists on either side because I'll fucking fight them on like their extremism, right? If you want to actually glass Gaza, if you actually want to fucking, say that Hamas are just freedom fighters and their actions are justified, then like, yeah, I'll fight you on that. But like the people I don't want to fight are the people that are going to say that, like, because those people are at least open that they are completely looking at this from one side. But the disingenuous, like both sidesing, right? That shit's fucking annoying. That shit's fucking dog shit. All right. I hate the disingenuous both sidesing shit that goes on. If you're going to say like, yeah, obviously terrorism is bad, LOL. But also we should have a difference in our principles on ripping down posters of people who were killed by Israelis and people who were killed unjustly by Israelis and people who were killed unjustly by Hamas. If like that's your inconsistency, you're hiding your real take, which is Hamas can literally do anything to the state of Israel and its civilians, and Israel can do nothing in response, even raise awareness of people who are still in captivity by a literal terrorist group. That is what your position is, and you don't want to say it. And that's fucking, it is so gross. It is so disgusting to me. Okay, we're going to see if this gets entertaining pretty soon, and if not, we're going to move on to Katie versus Destiny, because Katie has returned in true Katie fashion to virtue signal on people's streams, and evidently she was okay. Evidently she was okay. She wasn't completely obnoxious, but I don't necessarily believe that until I see it.
That's it.
Food shops, give us your hottest take. Give us your hottest take. What's your hottest take, food shops?
My hottest take.
We watched this skit already. Skip forward a little bit because it's boring.
No, he fucking doesn't. No, he absolutely fucking doesn't.
Wait,
I speak a lot to Rezi because I'm quite close friends with Rezi. He absolutely doesn't.
I don't know how he speaks of other people.
Okay,
so he's highly of me, so he must be speaking highly of just everybody, honestly.
Kind of loud.
So like, you must have some interesting takes. You must have some, like, come on, you can't just be memes.
Becca, the only reason you're friends,
She really is.
you're highly good terms with Rezi is because
Thinking about what to say. I don't know.
You believe in anything.
One of my friends just came in and accused me of using him as an anti-Semitic valve to keep myself sane. I'm not sure what you can say that is going to make you look worse than I do at this point in time. I think you can chill out.
Was it me?
Like,
it was me.
Yes, of course it was fucking you. Usually drunk and asleep at this point.
Okay, sure, I'll give one. I think the Holodomor was not a genocide.
Oh.
Interesting. Expand.
Interesting.
Any particular things about it you think don't meet the qualification?
All right. Well, this is something I'm going to... Nope, never mind. We're not watching this one right now. I'm keeping that in my back pocket because I'll debate her on that 100%. I will debate her on that. I will watch it on my own time, and I will see what sorts of things we can get. Now, let's find Destiny versus Katie. I didn't realize that. I thought she was going to say it was a genocide. That's actually super fucking surprising. That's 7 months ago. How far back do we have to go to find Destiny versus Katie in his VODs? Let's see here. Let's go to his playlists. View full playlist. Was it yesterday or was it the day before?
Trying to go to war with Israel right before it happened in 48, right? Or prior to the Six-Day War.
It was yesterday. Let's see. Let's find Katie.
It sounds like Arab Jews or native Jews that lived in the area. The new Yishuv, my understanding is basically kind of like the more formal organization of Jewish people into a more official governing body that essentially precedes the actual establishment of the Israeli government.
Oh, comments are turned off. Never mind.
I understand that because, as we just said,
and
Hamas didn't exist.
Okay, so before we get too much deeper into this, I already have like a huge problem with a lot of the framing of the
Jesus Christ.
Okay, I'm joining that call, okay?
Okay.
Let's see what Dat KT
I didn't join the call because I thought he was gonna transfer me.
has to say.
No, you joined it too.
Yeah.
All right, just a quick update on my biases going into this. Obviously, I agree with Destiny on a great deal of things. Not everything, but on a great deal of things. And I fucking hate Katie. I think that she is one of the most disingenuous fucking actors in the entire like Twitch/YouTube politics streaming space. I think that she is one of the most condescending and openly dishonest fucking people in the space. I think that she is a in terms of like her personal actions towards me, a massive piece of shit. And I do not like her very much whatsoever. I do not think that she is a good person. I do not think that she is a good, political mind, if that's like the nicest way I could say that. I think that she will say her position, and then she will immediately, upon you restating her position back to her, change her position and say that was not her position, and then restate the original position again with slight wording changes, but without changing what the actual substance of the take is. I do not think that Katie is a honest person, and I think that she is a very openly I don't know if propagandist would be the correct word, but it's probably pretty close on that. You should watch the Corantos panel with Prime. I watched that in my free time, and I am surprised at how. One of the things that's really, really fucking disappointing about all of this is seeing how radical. I mean, I don't like Prime either, but that's for far more personal reasons, right? Like me and him can have disagreements on politics, and that's fine. But like, I have personal like issues with Prime. One of the things that is unbelievable to me is the complete rejection of impartiality on any issue, essentially. Nobody wants you, I said this a little bit at the beginning of the stream, but nobody wants you to actually educate yourself on the conflict, right? What they want you to do is they want you to educate yourself on their side of the conflict. And this happens for both Palestinian side and the Israeli side, let's be clear. But when it comes to like this online space, the people that are saying educate yourself are like overwhelmingly on the Palestinian side. Just to tell you why I focus more on criticizing them, right? Number one, we see more of that in the space that we're in. And number two, the younger generations are becoming increasingly radicalized to... It's disconnected again. Are we back? Are we streaming, Marco? YouTube, are we back? Kick, are we back? Marco, I can hear you now. Thank you. Anything from Kick? You guys still alive over there? Polo? Okay. Yeah, so people do not want you to educate yourself on the totality of the events, right? I've taken a little bit of Destiny's lead, and I've read through a lot of the Wikipedia on Israel and some of the side articles. I have a much less time than Destiny does to just sit there and read through like the entirety of the ever branching articles that come out of looking at the Israeli conflict on Wikipedia. So I'll just like give you that little piece right there. I'm not super educated on it, but I can give you what like the general takes are and what like the barriers to forward action are. That is like the biggest thing for me. Like what are your alternatives for this, right? Why are we focusing only on why this side is making is making extremists, right? Why is this side radicalized? Why is that side radicalized? Right? Like those are the things that are most interesting to me, to see why people only want to focus on why, Hamas exists. Why is it that you only want to focus on why Hamas is radicalized, why, the Palestinians are radicalized, et cetera, et cetera? Why don't you want to focus on, why Israel is taking these actions that you find to be so abhorrent? right? Do you think that they're just evil Jews? Like, what is the actual reason? So I'm not like super educated on literally every treaty, literally every war, literally every player involved, right? And I'm open about that. But I think that I know enough to have a general take that Israel probably needs to chill the fuck out on all the settlements. Israel probably needs to be way more clear and open on at least some of their strikes in a way that won't destroy their ability to have information superiority over the terrorist groups that attack them, right? So that they can maintain the good graces of people in the world. Because, while I think that for the most part, they are able to point at, hey, there are some missile pods here, there are some, tubes over there that are shooting missiles at us, right, out of the civilian building. They need to be way more clear when they are attacking military targets so that people don't think that they're just doing a genocide of the Palestinian people, and so that they can point out how fucked up Hamas is. So ultimately the problem is that when I see people who I used to either be friends with, or at least respected a lot of their opinions or respected how they got to their opinions on stuff, when it comes to this conflict, it is, you have to only look at our side or you are pro-genocide. You have to look at our side or you are anti-Semitic, right? And there is very little reasonable in between, unless you're talking to just like libs, right? Like centerish libs or sock dems, because everybody else is fucking insane on this shit, guys. It is actually blackpilling. Again, like I had a huge argument with my older brother over this, and I was surprised at how emotional the conversation got on his end, when I don't really have any emotional I don't have I don't have family in Israel. I don't know anyone that lives in Israel, right? I know Israelis IRL. I know a lot of Jewish people IRL, but I don't know, I haven't obviously spoken to them about this because I feel like that might be a little inappropriate unless they bring it up to me. Yeah, the overwhelming majority of the people that I see telling you to educate yourself on this are people telling you to, hey, look at my side of this. You know me. Well, I don't actually know you, but yes, PZH. Like I know that you're like super you're pro Israel, possibly to a fault. But I would say that you're less insane than the Quibbles for Coffee guy. The Quibbles for Coffee guy is actually crazy. And that's one of the people that I respected before. Like I thought that he was like he's obviously very intelligent, right? And he was very able he still is very capable of arguing his point. But like the radicalism that he's showing in this conflict is just baffling to me. And I think that as I've gotten further away from my like socialist roots that I started off streaming with, I find it harder and harder to sympathize with people over being radicalized. I find it just way more. PZH is in YouTube chat, Philosophical Zombie Hunter. But yeah, I find it very hard to identify or empathize with people who are becoming increasingly radicalized. Like I think the furthest radicalized person that I can identify with, and I want to talk to him, but I don't know if he's actually willing to talk or if he's actually not a good person. I don't know yet, because I haven't seen too much of his content. I've seen him on one panel and on Twitter. It's the oh shit, I don't even know what his name is. Oh yeah. Karl Max, who shows up on Wick's show, right? Karl Max, he debated Short Fat Otaku, and I thought, damn, this kid reminds me of me at his age, right? He doesn't have like a super strong grounding in the he doesn't have a super strong grounding in the socialism stuff, but he seems to want a better life for everyone. He you know, he's willing to concede on some stuff, but unwilling to concede on stuff that are ideological, but like he's obviously wrong on or uneducated on when it comes to like economics. That was me in 2020 through like mid to late 2021 on stream, right? Like someone who meant very well, but was part of a online extremist group of lefties, right? Now, not like a militant extremist group, right? And I didn't see myself as extremist, right? And he doesn't see himself as extremist, but like that's what socialists are in this day and age that we live in. But everybody else, like, they've just gone full fucking crazy with it, where they're willing to justify the actions of anyone on their side, even if they're wholly unjustifiable, whether it be Hamas or whether it be people in America, like doing some sort of protest or like doxing or, life ruination tactics, anything like that. There's like zero principles with any of these people. Which just is super disappointing, right? Whether it's Prime saying that there are, what was the exact quote? Someone quoted it earlier. Depends on what you mean by settler. Yeah. And he was meaning like literally anyone in Israel is a settler, rather than, the obvious take that there are settlers in the West Bank and they are the like biggest unjustifiable thing, and like easily identifiable unjustifiable thing that the Israelis do. But Econ takes so true, that is you. Not anymore. I feel like I'm much more educated than I used to be on Econ. Although like I'll fully admit when I'm either out of my depth on a conversation or I am in a field of economics that I've just never heard of. So I think people should be willing to say, I don't know a lot more.
It took me a minute. I was just staring at the screen. And it's like, why is he not coming? It's like...
Please get past the cringe
No,
Katie
he hung
stuff.
up on us. Okay.
Or he hasn't picked up. You need to tell him to click the pickup button here.
He hasn't. He said, I'm gonna join in 5 minutes. Stall for me. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I linked the schools. And also there's this video from Mahdi Hassan. Do you want to watch that maybe?
Oh shit. Can someone post the Mahdi Hassan interview with Piers Morgan in my content suggestions? There was a YouTube comment on the Cenk Uygur Piers Morgan debate on Piers Morgan's show that they were like, this guy hasn't seen the Mehdi Hassan, I think that's the same guy, interview. And I had not even heard of it. So if someone could link that, that would be helpful for either later this stream or next stream. Because I don't want to like come off as a huge, just Israel simp, right? Because I'm criticizing Israel all the time, right? Yeah, ask PZH. He doesn't like some of the takes that I have on Israel, all right? And he's very pro-Israel. Ask any person that has watched me, right? I will criticize Israel when it's warranted. So I don't want to come off as like ultra biased or ultra ideologically captured by any one side.
You can talk to your audience while I watch it and see if I can just cipher out the resources.
Okay. I'll watch this video. Give me a sec.
The Palestinian militant group Hamas has carried out brutal acts of terror.
Yeah, but the criticisms of Israel that you've had, right? PZH, the criticism of Israel that you've said on my stream, at least, okay, maybe this is just on my stream, was like, I don't think that we should be allowing any aid into Gaza. Okay, that was your criticism of Israel, and that was that is a hot take, my friend.
against Israeli civilians. And Israeli and American leaders are always keen to tell us how dangerous and evil Hamas is.
The inhumanity of Hamas.
I have no sympathy for Hamas.
That keep shelling Israel with thousands of rockets and mortar shells.
But what if I told you that Israel helped create Hamas?
That isn't what I said. You said that it was you said that it was fundamentally immoral to offer any kind of aid to people that are trying to kill you. Free stuff to our enemies. Aid is free stuff. That's what I was referring to. Maybe there was some sort of miscommunication between us when we were talking, but when we were talking about free stuff, I was referring to aid. If third party wants to give aid, okay, but it requires Israel allowing that stuff in, okay? We can go back in the VOD and see, but it doesn't matter right now.
I do got a handout. Oh, sorry.
Officially, Hamas, which is the acronym for an Arabic phrase meaning Islamic Resistance Movement, was founded in 1987, at the start of the first Palestinian Intifada, or uprising against the Israeli occupation. But its roots were planted much earlier. The Hamas founder, Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, was a half-blind, disabled Palestinian cleric and member of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Brotherhood had been repressed by the Egyptians in Gaza prior to 1967. But once the Israelis invaded and occupied the Strip, they didn't just turn a blind eye to these Islamists, they encouraged them. See, the Israelis, especially right-wing Israelis, wanted to undermine the power of the dominant Palestinian political force at that time, the nationalist PLO, at the heart of which was the secular Fatah party of Yasser Arafat, their bête noire.
Now, hold on. I want to do a quick little fact check on this. Hamas, let's go to their Wikipedia. Because they originally started out as a, what's the word? A charity group that was just like doing schools, doing, you know, medical stuff, giving out aid. Okay. Now, the charity group was in 73. 87 is when they became the militant group. Got it. Oh, did my stream crash? It didn't even give me a notification.
By empowering Sheikh Yassin and the Muslim Brotherhood, Israeli leaders thought they could divide and rule the
Right. PZH. Obviously, they're religious Islamists. Islamists? Yeah. What my thing was wondering whether he was referring to like they were founded in X date and that was the, you know, when they were a charity group, which I would take contention with the framing, but I don't take issue with the framing of them being, you know, Hamas, the terror group in 87.
occupied Palestinians, play them off against each other, secular nationalists against religious Islamists.
Okay, so before we get too much deeper into this, I already have like a huge problem with a lot of the framing of the video. I understand that message is going to try to sell.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I said like I could just watch the video
Whoa,
and like
hold on,
find the
hold on.
resources. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Number one is I don't know. Okay, I'm giving an honest reading of my history so far, and you can tell me if I'm historically inaccurate here. I don't remember hearing anything about the Muslim Brotherhood or Hamas presenting any sort of big threat in Israel at this point in time, but the PLO was absolutely like a terrorist organization presenting a huge threat against Israel and other countries and will continue to do so in the next few decades. So the idea that like funding Hamas at this point to undermine the PLO was really wrong or not okay, while it's sitting here showing friendly pictures of Arafat when Arafat would go on to be involved in PLO camps that would be trying to overthrow the Jordanian king, right, is a little bit of an insane framing on this. That Arafat is seen like smiling with his fingers up for peace or whatever. The PLO was absolutely not peaceful at this time or in the decades after. So I understand what the video is going for, but I feel like it is dramatically reframing or just relying on the watcher not understanding any of the history at this point in time. But
yes.
Can I keep watching or do you want to interject something there?
I do.
Go ahead.
So my claim is never going to be, so I don't want to debate what you think terrorism is right now and how we define terrorism. I don't want to talk about that. That's going to be a waste of time. When we talk about like, oh, funding Hamas was bad, what you just said right now, I'm not claiming that. The only thing that I'm trying to establish is that even if you think the PLO were a terrorist organization, or whatever.
They were.
The point is, I'm trying to demonstrate
This
that
is
Israel
Dat Katie.
wanted to.
This is Dat Katie. I apologize in advance for having to hear her, but we're working on getting brain cancer. Yes, we've already gone through all of the biases that I have against Katie at the beginning of this. Allegedly, according to Food Shops, all right, friend of the stream, okay, she is a lot more tolerable and not condescending and not like being a total piece of shit like she usually is. And literally every single debate I've ever seen her in, including with me. So that's why I'm interested to see at least part of this. But my understanding is this is like a 3-hour conversation. We're going to watch a little bit of it. Not that Katie, it's Dat Katie. But we might skip around a little bit. We might, she's never a POS. She is a total piece of shit. But when I say she's a piece of shit, that's because of things that she has directly, said or like done to me in interactions. I do not like this person, but I'm willing to listen to someone who disagrees with, that disagrees with me politically. If they're being not a total piece of shit.
On purpose, policy-wise, divide Palestinian representatives. Basically.
No. Hold on.
Okay, sorry.
No. Okay. At this point in time, there is no like official Palestinian government or representative. Palestine and their the organizations were still incredibly fractured.
Why am
Arafat
I not
had
dodging?
to fight for the PLO to become recognized as representing the majority of Palestinians. I don't believe they did. Almost certainly not at this particular time period, because they're talking about 67 is Six-Day War. Absolutely not at that particular point in time. Any talk of dividing the Palestinians at this point doesn't even.
No. Hamas didn't exist in 67.
Sure, I know, but right now we're talking about funding a guy back in the Six-Day War. That's where this started at, because he brought up Israel's invasion of the Gaza Strip.
Did we get the
technically
achievement?
counterfighting Egypt, etc. But we won't. I'll ignore his disfavorable framing there. But yeah, during this time, the situation is very, 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 very different. The PLO is not like the family-friendly PLO as part of the PA that it is today, arguably.
Maybe we'll jump
over
to that one in a
different
minute.
and more terrorist-driven organization back then, and the comparisons I think are not good. But
right.
I can keep watching. Go ahead.
I did not make the
Sources
video. You
support.
can have whatever critiques you want of the video, and you can talk about how the PLO or this or that. The only thing that I care about is that across history, Israel has taken actions to intervene with Palestinian representation and trying to divide and conquer, basically.
No. I understand.
Wait, let me just complete it.
Okay.
I don't care if they tried to do that with one terrorist group and they helped another terrorist group, if that's how you want to define it. I don't care. The point stands regardless.
I understand what you're saying. Hold on. Okay. I don't know if you frame this as an aggressive question or not, but can you talk to me about what like the Palestinians were like in '67?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't have any.
I understand. That's fine. Totally fine. Okay. So you can tell me if you disagree with any point of this or bring up stuff. The idea that Israel would try to divide Palestinian peoples or organizations in the 60s just doesn't make any sense. There isn't really a unified Palestinian people. It doesn't make sense. Egypt. That is absolutely true. What do you mean this
Katie
isn't
is
true?
just
Or what part of that
ill.
isn't true?
What do you mean by unified Palestinian people?
Well, prior to 67.
Oh wait, are you gonna do there were no Palestinian people type stuff?
No, prior to 67, the West Bank was controlled by Jordan, right, Transjordan, and the Gaza Strip was controlled by Egypt, and there was no cohesive unifying aspect that I'm aware of like the Palestinian people. They were talked about a lot by the neighboring Arab countries that were warring against Israel, but I don't believe there was like a cohesive Palestinian identity that
Okay, so you are.
that Israel could undermine at the time. Okay, is there anything that you would like to refute or?
Yeah.
Mhm.
When you asked what you asked, I was going to say, obviously I cannot speak about how Palestinians in 47 lived. However, the Palestinian people as an identity, whether they lived under Jordan or Egypt or Israel or whoever the fuck, I honestly don't. I disagree with your narrative that there wasn't such
Palestinian
an identity.
L organization based.
Okay, can you give me an example of an identity, such as a cohesive will expressed by these people, some unifying body or representative, or some cohesive action, or anything
so-
that, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so if you say, I think there's no people because there isn't a unified body that is representing them, that is not very helpful because, as we just said, there have been many fractured organizations. So, for example, during the British Mandate of Israel, there have been at least 4 Jewish terrorist organizations fighting against the British Mandate. But nobody said there was no cohesive Jewish identity in Israel, and nobody talks about Jews in the under the British Mandate as like not having a cohesive identity.
So
I
understand what you're saying.
4 competing because there were 4 competing organizations working for the liberation of Jewish people under the British Mandate.
Gotcha. So I'm not familiar with the 4 are. Are you sure you don't mean 3?
There were 4.
Okay. Maybe there were 4. I'm not aware of this. But insofar as the... What?
What the fuck? And the Palmach.
Okay, I don't know what the Palmach one is. I haven't heard of that one, okay? But the other 3... The what?
Yes. Plugot Machatz, sorry.
Okay, I don't know who... Can you... Actually, I'm curious. Can you spell that in English for me so I can look it up?
Spell that in English.
Plugot Machatz. Let me see if that shows anything.
Let me see if I can get something that will...
Palmach.
Although, it's possible that I'm saying 4 because one of them was a unification.
No, you're not. Okay, I understand. Never mind, I understand. Okay. So the Palmach, what you're talking about here, I can't pronounce it. This is a subdivision of the Haganah. Okay, it's a part of it. So I am aware of the 3 forces that you're talking about, the Haganah, the Irgun, and the Lehi. I can't pronounce it like you do. But counter to what you're saying, where you're saying that nobody said the Jews didn't have a cohesive identity, blah, 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 that's not my understanding of it. There was actually a decent amount of fighting between the 3 of these different organizations. This is why eventually they got rolled all into one, the Israeli Defense Force. But some of the...
you misunderstood what I said.
It sounded like you said nobody claimed that there was a division of the Israeli people because of the existence of the 3 different security forces. No. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you restate what you said?
Okay, I said even though there was internal conflict between 3 organizations who were supposedly wanting to lead the Jewish population in Israel under the British Mandate. No one looking back at history is saying that the Jewish community in Israel didn't have a unified existence because 3 competing organizations were fighting to represent
that arrow thing.
It is an inaccurate reading of history.
Sure, that might be fine. But one, all the people that went to Israel at the time, or Mandate Palestine at the time, were there, one, for a common purpose, number 1. And number 2, one is, and number 2, my understanding is they were all represented essentially by the Yishuv, right? From 1920 onwards, I believe the Yishuv was the government given to, or that was ran by and represented the people, the Jewish people in that area, right? Okay. Yishuv. And the those 3 defense forces, I believe, all worked as part of the Yishuv, right? Ooh, the term became used in the 1880s. This might have actually predated 1920 by quite a bit. Sorry, but Yishuv was the government that the Jewish people there had prior to the Declaration of Independence of Israel.
Calling it a government is, I know you don't mean government, but it's quite misleading to call it government.
Okay, can you explain how it's misleading?
Because if you call it the government, that kind of implies, the same, ooh, wait, I need to calm myself down before I get a bit aggressive, and I don't want to get aggressive, so.
Oh, that's a first.
I can feel it rising.
That's a first. She's trying to be chill.
Okay. The issue was not. Oh, wait. I need more time. Sorry.
Wow, actually, Ken, thanks for getting 10 subs.
Okay. This is boring. You guys were right. We're watching the Israel PhD student guy, but that's a 2-hour conversation. Okay, we're gonna end with that one. Okay, let's watch the Mehdi Hassan, who looks like kind of looks like an Arabic Jon Stewart. Does he not? 1 second. Does this guy not look like an Arabic fucking Jon Stewart right here? Palmach Haganah Lehi? Is that how you say that last one? PZH? L-E Flim I? Lehi? Watch Anna on PDB? Well, hold on. How long is this video? Oh my God. This is an hour and 40. Why is everything so fucking long, dude? I don't have all the time in the world to watch all this shit. Do we have to watch it through Xander Hall's perspective, or is there one that is... Okay. Nope, that's through the Vanguard's perspective.
Not like to be bullied?
You've linked like the same thing like a million times, Internet Gas, but it's all through other people's perspective. Can you send me like the original? Because I don't know what the name of this... Okay, this one. Thank you.
Netanyahu got...
Phlegm, yes. Lehi. Okay, this one's only 30 minutes. Okay, we can stomach 30 minutes. Jesus Christ. All right. Before we start this, I want everybody to know, and I want you to know specifically, viewer, you know who you are, that I am Anna Kasparian's strongest soldier. Okay? I am Anna Kasparian's strongest soldier. The attacks on her from the left over, being based as fuck and saying that, hey, we should probably be, more principled about looking at the facts of a case before having, before having strong reactions to news. We should wait for the full facts to come out. Like, all of that was ultra fucking based. If you disagree, you're simply wrong. You are just wrong. There is no if, ands, or buts about it. If you think that she was in the wrong for saying, hey, I think that we should make sure that our research around trans stuff is 100%, solid before making extreme claims about trans issues. I think that we should be willing to concede stuff like the trans sports debate, right? When it comes to, higher level like Olympic or collegiate sports. If you can't even engage with that or understand why that position exists outside of transphobia, you're lost. You're lost ideologically, and you need to come back to the flock. Okay, the flock being the rest of society. And it has Sondsol has an Anna Kasparian poster on his ceiling. It's actually on this ceiling right here above my stream setup, right behind the camera, so that I can look her in the eyes and say, Anna, I might not be as smart as you, but if I sit down and fucking listen, maybe one day I will be. Okay? I'm sure that I will disagree with her on this. Yeah. Because progressives have lost the plot on most of the Israel stuff.
Got a call, got all the warnings. Says former head of
Israeli
Anna military intelligence.
WWAD.
Okay, Political. Okay, Netanyahu got all the warnings. It's not like he didn't know. It's not like it's a regular, person saying this here. No.
All right, we're 14 seconds in, and I want to make a clarification as to what my understanding of the Netanyahu had all of the answers. He already knew all of this was coming. My understanding is that they had warnings that something was going to happen, right? Just a couple of days before. But given the historic and the usual tactics of Hamas, they thought it was going to be a mass bombing campaign, right? A mass missile campaign. And they just kind of ignored it because they have the Iron Dome. That's my understanding. They had no idea that an attack on the scale that happened on October 7th was going to happen. Now, if I'm wrong on that, I will 100% concede. There might be new information that has come out about that, right? But I'll have to see evidence before I change my mind. You are lost. You don't understand. The right is ontologically incorrect on every position. True.
No, it's the former head of Israeli military intelligence, Amos Yadlin. Former head of Israeli military intelligence emphasizes Israel's intent to destroy Hamas in Gaza, comparing them to neighboring attacking country. We refer to Hamas from now on as the government Hamastan, in Gaza, a neighboring country that attacked Israel, and we declare war on this country. Yadlin criticized Netanyahu for not heeding national security warnings, stating Netanyahu got all the warnings that this is weakening Israel's defense and endangering Israel's national security. Yadlin expresses concern about the potential for hostage situations and suggests a combination of operational aids and humanitarian negotiations. They may be released through operational raids, much like 1976 Israel raid to rescue Palestine held hostages at the airport in Uganda. Even though this is not Entebbe, I think the finger should be pointed at Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Adam, see a story like this. What do you think about the fact that former head of Israel military intelligence says Netanyahu got all the warnings?
Well, look, I'm not in the camp that Netanyahu intentionally allowed this to happen. I'm not there whatsoever. Do I think that they took their eye off the ball because they were so hyper-focused on the judicial form of the power grab that's been taking place in Israel over the last few years, especially after he was, in and out of office? Yes. But that doesn't mean that he intentionally wanted the rape, murder.
I don't know why my internet keeps on dipping, guys. Why did Chud get suspended by Twitch? Linkers? Fun fact, Yahya Sinwar was given a life-saving treatment for a malignant tumor in Israel. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah. When was he given that 2006? Got it. But we think it was due to showing a violent clip from YouTube. That's pretty gay. But like the problem is, like, has Twitch updated its the CEO said that they were going to do Twitch unban new CEO. It's all minus I show speed. It's always showing all of these. Is this an updated article? Because the guy who is the new CEO has been saying that he's going to update the ban appeals. For indefinite suspensions, you may only submit one appeal in a 6-month period per indefinite enforcement. So like that's why I haven't because there's been all this like, talk about indefinite suspensions and the possibility of clemency for some people who have done like minor things that have gotten them indefinitely suspended. I've been holding off on requesting because I'm worried that I'll do the I'll do it and then I'll immediately get fucked because like immediately afterwards fuck, I wasn't paying attention. They changed the procedure or whatever. So the ban happened sometime overnight. I've always had my bans like literally in the middle of stream. Every single ban I've ever gotten.
Theory that like, yeah, of course he allowed this to happen. He looked the other way. Was there a stand down order like Charlie Kirk basically mentioned? I'm not there. I haven't seen evidence of that. And quite frankly, I don't even want to believe that. But he's going to be held accountable by his own people. No doubt on that.
You were Adam, you were just recently there.
I was there in June. Yeah.
Be honest with me. How was the security like level? I had no idea. Like how beefed up were they?
Well, it starts at the airport when you're flying to Israel. Okay. So even at the Miami airport, I had to say to my mom is like the friendliest person ever, and she hasn't been there in 30 years, and she wants to talk Hebrew with people. I'm like, Mom, don't talk to the lady at the airport. She's not your friend.
Yeah, I love you just like my mom.
She's like, oh, I'm going back, and the lady's like, what is your business here? What are you doing? I'm like, Mom, stop talking to this lady. Don't talk to anybody.
And
the point is,
that's here.
There's security That's
security
in
is
Miami.
here.
That's
What
in
I'm
Miami.
saying, yeah, and then
when
break
you
it down.
get there,
Forget it.
It's
unbelievable.
Security,
correct?
security, no doubt.
So my question to
Yeah.
you is, as being there, I'm happy to bring this up. I understand that you don't want to kind of believe it, which I wouldn't either. Honestly, Adam, you're a Jewish dude. Explain to me how, with all the security that you saw, it took 6 hours. Think about that. 6 hours for them to even respond. These terrorists were grabbing people and dragging them to Gaza. So with the security that you're telling me at that level, it's unbelievable to me to say that they just all the IDF, all the soldiers, everybody stopped down, which goes to my point, Pat. I showed you this video before we walked in. Ron Paul in 2009 in the Congress, on the floor in Congress, I'll let them play this. He needed Hamas to fight Yasser Arafat.
Why is my okay? This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get rid of any process we're not actively using. Goodbye, Discord. I don't know why my internet keeps on dipping. Okay. Let me also look at how many tabs we have open. Get rid of this tab. 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 Don't need this one. Don't need this one. That one. That one. That one. That one. Don't need this one. Don't need that one. Don't need that one. Don't need that one. Just one tab. Okay. Whew. Now, let's see if my internet will stay up.
And then we had a
Oh, the most conspiracy brain gets 4 times the views. That's 1,000,000% true. And I don't know. I thought about this the other day, right? Like, because when we look historically back at, particular movements, we can see why they grew, right? Why our politics is the way it is today based off of things that happened in the past, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When it comes to, let's see what that does. When it comes to like all this conspiracy shit that's happening, right? I just don't know where, I don't know where the political space is going to be in, 30, 50, 70 years, right? Like we could see a big shift in how people thought about, the government and politics during the workers' strike era, right? Where unions started coming up in the 20s, right? And we saw why that happened because, capitalism was going a little bit unhinged, all right? As much as I love our capitalist, world order, the capitalism in the early 20th century was fucking crazy. They were packing Italians into studio apartments, like fucking 20 to a studio apartment or more, like 5 families. So like that's pretty crazy, and we can see why people might, I don't know, become radicalized to pro-worker stuff, right? And join unions and then have battles of Blair Mountains, which was, let me be clear, probably justified, right? I have to look back at the history specifically on that to know for sure, but we know why that happened, right? And there was an actual good reason for it. The workers were getting absolutely fucked, right? There were no protections in law, right? And so they had to take matters into their own hands. Same thing with like the civil rights movement. Same thing, there was probably a reason why we had a Red Scare, right? And it was because the Soviet Union was doing some kind of fuck shit towards the U.S. And we were doing fuck shit towards the communists. Everyone was doing fuck shit towards each other. So when we look at politics in 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 years, what is the political landscape going to look like are the like conspiracy brained popular movements happening right now going to take hold, and then we're going to just have like an unbelievably fucked up future where the government gets destabilized because there are enough people elected into office that are anti-government. They don't believe anything the government says literally ever. They're all ideologically driven, and there is no, like I said earlier, any care for holding on to principles. It's all about what will achieve your political goals. Like that's something that like worries me in my everyday life. As someone that thinks about, I think when it comes to politics, like my specialty is in extremist ideologies. I know a lot about fascism. I know a lot about socialism. I know a lot about the more extremist branches of, the like MAGA people, the more extremist elements of like the modern leftist movement. Like I know a lot about these things. And because I've read the theory on it, right? And I can see where it all came from,
Kind of a play. I'll let Rob play, Rob, and Pat, we can stop it whenever.
What minute does it?
It's going to go up to a minute. This is a 2-minute thing.
Go for it.
What's happening in the Middle East, and in particular with Gaza right now, we have some moral responsibility for both sides in a way, because we provide help and funding for both Arab nations and Israel. And so we definitely have a moral...
Wait, Ron Paul was from Texas? I thought Ron Paul was from like Arizona or some shit. 1 second. Watch the TED video on socialism. You'll like it. We'll put in content suggestions. We'll have it for a rainy day. From Texas. 22nd District. Which is parts of Houston. Not my parts of Houston, but parts of Houston. Okay. I didn't know that. I thought that he was... Why did I think he was from fucking Arizona? Did he run for president and he at that time was... I don't know why I thought he was from Arizona. Never mind.
Moral responsibility, and especially now today, the weapons being used to kill so many Palestinians are American weapons, and American funds essentially are being used for this. Right. But there's a political liability, which I think is something that we fail to look at, because too often there's so much blowback from our intervention in areas that we shouldn't be involved in. Hamas, if you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel, because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat. And you said, well, yeah, that was better then and served its purpose, but we didn't want Hamas to do this. So then we as Americans say, well, we have such a good system, we're going to impose this on the world. We're going to invade Iraq and teach people how to be Democrats. We want free elections. So we encourage the Palestinians to have a free election. They do, and they elect Hamas.
And they got Hamas.
So we first, indirectly and directly through Israel, help establish Hamas. Then we have election. Then Hamas becomes dominant, so we have to kill them. It just doesn't make sense. During the...
But this implies, like, I don't like the framing, because it implies that the Israelis like actively wanted there to be like a militant group, right, in charge, right? It implies that they like actively helped them get in charge by like rigging elections. That's what like the implication, if not like the exact wording he's using, it definitely is the implication behind the words that he's saying. And I really, really don't like that framing of the issue. I feel like it misses a whole lot of shit in regards to the conflict. So
you can stop right there. But Pat,
hey, how's it going, Sam
what
the
a
Human?
Point where they kind of created it to fight Yasser Arafat, but then at the same token, it's like you created a monster.
I mean, we did the same thing with the Taliban in Afghanistan.
No, we did not.
He was going to get there too.
Bin Laden.
Point.
Yep.
And he was
And super fucking untrue. We didn't do that with the Taliban in fuck. Please die. 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 So I can talk. Okay. We did not do that with the Taliban. We supported the Mujahideen, who afterwards split up, and one of the splits was the Taliban. We weren't like, hey, Taliban, here's a bunch of money, right? There was the Mujahideen, and then they splintered off, and the Taliban became like the dominant group. We didn't create the Taliban. They created themselves.
Just about to go there. We start.
Wait, where are you going, Sam? Oh, are you going back home?
Like, we're creating these monsters, and then we go, oh my God, the monster did monster things, and we're like, how could they? So, and going to my point, Adam, and I love you to death, bro. It's just, and I'm getting messages, mind you, on Instagram from people, Israeli people. They're like, yo, dude, we feel your, we understand. We want to know now. When you have John Kirby, the day it happened, going, no. Now's not the time to question, because I know we're talking about accountability years down the road, Adam, because there's war right now. They're attacking the ground invasion, the incursion right now is absolutely insane. But it's like, I'm not one of those down the road, we'll talk about it. Like you talked about George Bush Jr., he belongs in prison. And if Donald Rumsfeld, I would dig his ass up and put him in the electric chair. That's how much these people killed over 1 million people, soldiers, Americans, everybody. Now we're just supposed to be no, just forget.
Someone help me. What was John Kirby's statement the day after? John Kirby, October 8th. Now is not the time. Let's see. Control F. Now is. Now let's see here. This was a massive intelligence failure. Who bears responsibility for that? It's appropriate for us to look back retrospectively. Okay, that's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's just do October. Oh, now is not the time for a ceasefire? And when was this? This was October 31st, so just a couple of days ago. So not what we're talking about here. I would be so fucking curious. So curious to see. Now is. Let's see. Does the U.S. also condemn perhaps potential war crimes Israeli are committing in Gaza against Gazans? Our focus right now is making sure Israel has what it needs to defend itself against these attacks. Okay. Oh, this is that same press briefing. Okay, so let's go back just a couple of seconds and see what it's saying.
The ground invasion, the incursion right now is absolutely insane. But it's like, I'm not one of those down the road, we'll talk about it. Like you talked about George Bush Jr., he belongs in prison. And if Donald Rumsfeld, I would dig his ass up and put him in the electric chair. That's how much these people killed over 1 million people, soldiers, Americans, everybody. Now we're just supposed to be no, just forget about it. And now you see Bush going up and talking with Democrats. It's like, bro, take your ass to jail. I hate that shit. It drives me bananas.
Well, Anna hit the nail on the head. Like anytime America gets involved in regime change, it's a freaking disaster.
Yeah.
Afghanistan, Iraq, what they're trying to do with the PLO here. But Pat brought the biggest.
Well, I don't think that the Iraq regime change was bad, was it? Maybe I'm super wrong on that. Right? Maybe they're talking about all the Iraq war, but in terms of the actual governments that show up afterwards, Iraq is probably fine, right? That's my understanding, unless someone has something to inform me on, because I'm not super informed on the Iraq war. It is just something that is so complex for me to go into it. The only thing I've ever seen in depth was an analysis of the actual military aspect of it, completely removed of any political statements. So that was not helpful for that. See my article about the U.S. and Hamas comment? Okay. March 3rd, 2008. The Bush administration, caught out by the rise of Hamas, embarked on a secret project of the armed overthrow of the Islamist government in Gaza. It emerged yesterday. But did they do it? Well, they didn't. Saying they didn't versus they like failed is two different things, right? They did and they failed, you know? Okay. Got it.
This point to the thing. Number one, we need to be focused on America. Who are America's allies? Come second. Is it Israel or is it Hezbollah, Hamas, ISIS, Al Qaeda, Islamic Jihad, the Muslim Brotherhood?
I'll go with Israel for 200.
What are we even talking about
Israel
right
for
here?
200.
What are we even talking about right
Yeah.
here? Like this equivocation, especially on the woke college campus left, of this, you know.
So let me jump in on this conversation because my views on it are a little more nuanced. Look, what's currently happening to Palestinian civilians. First of all, let me just get this out of the way. It's really important. I was disgusted to see anyone on the left justify or provide cover for a terrorist group like Hamas. I was horrified by what Hamas did. Absolutely, Israel should go after Hamas. I have no problem with that. Now, the way the Israeli government and the IDF is going after Hamas is basically ethnically cleansing Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. Okay, look, I'm Armenian. I see genocide when I can recognize genocide when I see one. It is so obvious to me.
Now I have very limited knowledge on the Armenian genocide, but weren't they for like weeks and months leading up to it, building, building up to like the mass slaughter and expulsion of Armenians? Like, didn't they, as Food Shops informed us the other night, didn't they like have a football field where they brought people in and then they found like the bones of like a couple of, a couple thousand people, if not, how many people were killed there? Armenian genocide, football field. Show results with football. Okay, it's a blog from a long time ago. Okay, not helpful. Okay, never mind. A million Armenians? Yeah, there was like a specific place that had they lined them up and just like shot them in the in like some football or soccer field. I don't know if it was football or soccer.
Like, I'll give you a few examples. If you wanted to root out Hamas, you send in special ops.
I agree.
Okay, that is how you do it. And I'm
not.
not saying that as some lefty. Jocko Willink.
No, but anyone that says send in special ops to take out Hamas are like Call of Duty brained. There's just no way. You don't get fucking airlifted in and out of Gaza easily, okay? Or you don't sneak into Gaza with, 25 to 45,000 fucking enemy combatants and take out one itty bitty little what do you call it? sell. Like you that's just not feasible, right? You would literally be sending every single squad on a suicide mission. It is not on the Israelis to send all of their soldiers on suicide missions in tiny little raids where they might achieve their goal. Keyword there being might achieve their goal, right? But at the expense of losing all of their like most highly valuable, highly trained troops there that they have. Like that is completely untenable for something that is not sure and also like just not going to be effective, right? It's just so stupid.
Said that. Someone who is incredibly experienced in the military, he's like, this is how you get Hamas. Bombing the crap out of residential buildings, okay? Out of that Greek Orthodox church, out of the areas where all of these innocent Palestinian civilians are living in or fleeing from is not the right way to go. And look, that in the long term will not keep Israel safe because what that policy of just
hold on. To be fair on what you're saying there, like we're not going like people on the left and people in general shouldn't be viewing the loss of like soldier lives in the same way as civilian lives. You shouldn't. It is completely different. Ooh. It is completely different to point out the death of, soldiers who are combatants and civilian lives. So like there is a point to be made there that, oh, well, these are just soldiers that are dying, right? Versus, oh, well, they're killing a bunch of civilians. These are very different lines to take. Now, what the problem is, right, with the lefties' advocacy here is that they don't have a reasonable alternative that will actually achieve the goal that they ostensibly share with everyone on the like get rid of Hamas thing, right? They don't seem to actually care about like what the best strategic option is there, and that's the issue. But still fucked to figure out the best way to maximize losing. Yeah, well, if you're trying to find the best way to maximize losing soldiers, yeah, that's different. Yeah. Is this what you were looking for? It was discovered during the building of a stadium. Okay, I had it. I had the timeline backwards. They didn't build a stadium and then kill a bunch of people in it. They killed a bunch of people, and then when they built a stadium, they found all the bones. How many people in that spot? Maybe. I'll message food shops. I'll do it on my phone so that because I don't know what it is that's crashing my internet so often.
Bombing the crap out of that area and wiping out entire families is it breeds more extremism. Okay? First of all,
right, but the wiping out of entire families, that is all, well, I'd say it's 80%, 85% on Hamas. They want there to be civilian casualties. Hey, the other day when we talked about genocide, you talked about a killing field in a stadium / football field. What conflict was that? Because I felt like it was way more than 400 that she was referencing.
This, okay? The majority of the civilians living in the Gaza Strip weren't even born at the time that Hamas was voted in, okay? Most of them, half of them are under the age of 18,
yep.
Right?
Yep.
So the point that I'm trying to make is there is a way of supporting Israel, which I believe we should do, right? Without justifying what they're currently doing in the Gaza Strip, right? We should provide them with the intel they need. We should provide them with the weapons they need, with the condition that they're going to carry out these operations, special ops, as opposed to bombing the crap out of the Gaza Strip, killing all these innocent civilians from a remote location. I think that's wrong.
Anna, with all due respect, you're sort of falling for the mainstream narrative that you talk about.
I was thinking of the
railing
Bosnian
against.
genocide.
So we all saw the story about the hospital that was bombed by Israel. How could you do this? How could you kill innocent civilians? The New York Times basically is now retracting their statement. Yeah, it turns out it was the Islamic Jihad with a failed rocket. I can assure you of
Hold
this.
on.
Nobody
that is not definitive, number one.
Yeah, it's still not.
That is not definitive,
Even
number
the Wall
one.
Street Journal
okay,
came out and said.
but that is one example. Even
But-
even if I give you that argument and it is proven without without any doubt that it was Hamas that did that, that is one incident in a situation where
Street Journal
okay,
came out and said.
but that is one example. Even
But-
even if I give you that argument and it is proven without without
what?
any doubt. Hold
this.
on.
Nobody
that
is
is not definitive, number one.
Yeah, innocent civilians. The New York Times basically is now retracting their statement. Yeah, it turns out it was the Islamic Jihad with a failed rocket. I can assure you of
Hold
this.
on.
Nobody
that is not definitive, number one.
Yeah, it's still not.
That is not definitive,
Even
number
the Wall
one.
Street Journal came
Okay.
out and said.
It's pretty definitive at this point. There is literally no evidence of Israeli strikes, right? And by strikes, we're talking about, evidence that there's like a large crater or that there was something going on over there that would be of military interest to the Israelis at the time. Like, we can't really find anything that shows that it was Israel. However, all of the other markers that we're allowed to see, because again, the people who are over there and giving us the narrative that it was Israel are not allowing anyone new to come in and, check the area forensically, because evidently there's just no evidence that's left. The bomb just disintegrated like dust into water, which is just bullshit, right? Like, every piece of evidence that came out the day after and the day after that was unbelievably pointing or unbelievably strong evidence pointing towards it was not Israel. Whether it was Hamas, whether it was the Palestinian Jihad, whatever the fuck, right? Anna is wrong here. This is her being sucked back into her media bubble that she has that is just wrong on this.
But that is one example. Even if I give you that argument and it is proven without without any doubt that it was Hamas that did that, that is one incident in a situation where 1.1 million
I don't think it's about profit for her.
Palestinians are
Otherwise, she
being
would
told
never
to have-
listen. Here's the thing. With Anna, we can at least know that she's being completely honest about what her take is, because if she was all about profit, she would have never said anything, in like 2 or 3, 4 months ago about all of the moving away from the left, going on Sitch and Adam, talking to all these people about how her opinions are changing, right? Yeah, it makes no sense for Israel to bomb the fucking hospital parking lot, and it doesn't make sense that there would be no forensic evidence or just the images. The images would be pointing towards Israel if it was an Israeli bomb, because their bombs are more effective, stronger. There would be a crater that was deep enough, that I could stand in, not one that I could barely fit my dick in.
Evacuate their homes. As they're being evacuated to the part of the Gaza Strip where they're gonna be safe, that area gets
It's cringe, but
okay?
she's wrong. She's not
Let me ask you a
lying.
very direct question.
Hold on,
Do you think
hold on,
Israel
Or being
wants
dishonest.
to kill
Yes,
innocent civilians?
I do.
You think
I
Israel
do.
genuinely
I do.
wants to?
I do.
What
I
evidence do you have of that?
The evidence is they are refusing to do special operations and instead are relying on bombing areas where they know civilians are at, and then they'll turn around and say, "Well, Hamas is using them as human shields."
But there's evidence that shows that, right? So this is like a combination of fucking Call of Duty tier fucking tactical brain, right? Just send in fucking, Soap McTavish and everything will be fine. And a complete lack of looking at the evidence that, yes, Hamas does use human shields. Yes, Hamas does use human shields. That is like their MO. They are open about it. Everybody knows this. You can see evidence of it from the fucking missiles being fired from residential buildings. There is enough evidence out there for me to feel confident in saying, yes, Hamas uses human shields openly. This shouldn't even be a part of the debate. People should just accept the fact that Hamas does this because they don't even deny it. We can look at all of the actions that have happened in the past month where Israel has been like, hey, you guys should leave north of Gaza. Whether or not you think that that was a reasonable ask, right? You guys should leave this area of Gaza because we're going to be bombing the fuck out of it. And then Hamas, at first telling people that it was lies, and then when people weren't listening to them, blocking off the roads so that people couldn't leave. There is enough evidence to show that, yeah, Hamas loves using human shields because not only is it a great way for them to gain support amongst the civilians and be a recruiting tool, right? It is also a great way to make Israel look bad on the world stage when they do like basically the same kind of strikes that the U.S. has done that were, you know, in terms of international law, whether you're going to say every strike that had civilian casualties was unjustified in Afghanistan, right? We had all these processes where we're like, okay, there are civilians there. We have to get like special permission, right? We have to do this, this, and this. Even if our soldiers were like actively being murdered, right, in said like complex, or if they were in a firefight, we would still have to get like major permission to fire into anywhere that had civilians there that could become casualties. Like same thing happens with Israel. It's just that Hamas is way more explicit about using human shields than even the Taliban are.
So if someone was shooting at you, if someone was, you don't have kids, right?
If an armed man grabbed a family member of yours, do you have kids?
No, I don't.
Oh, do you have?
Yeah,
Okay,
just
your mother.
arm
You talked
Hamas.
about your
Yeah.
mother. If an armed gunman grabbed your mother, had a gun to her head, okay, and he is confronted by the authorities, by law enforcement, and the law enforcement, they just decide, you know what, we're not going to negotiate, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to shoot the hell out of both of them. And then they come to you and say, well, your mother, sorry, was a human shield. Would you accept that argument?
Wait,
That's not the question, though. 'cause
Would you
th-
accept that
there-
argument? We're not going to do anything. And he is confronted.
Someone
If
was- you don't have
an armed
kids, right?
man, if an armed man grabbed a family member of yours, do you have kids?
No, I don't.
Oh, do you have? Okay, your mother. You talked about your
Yeah.
mother. If an armed gunman grabbed your mother, had a gun to her head, okay, and he is confronted by the authorities, by law enforcement, and the law enforcement, they just decide, you know what, we're not going to negotiate, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to shoot the hell out of both of them. And then they come to you and say, well, your mother.
This isn't an apt comparison because we're not talking about an individual gunman who is possibly going to harm the mother. It is an armed insurgency group who is actively shelling a nation. And that armed group isn't saying, oh, I'm going to harm these people if I don't get what I want. It is, well, number one, we've already harmed this country, not just in this most recent attack, but also just like in general, we've like actively gone after, Israelis and Jews. There's like an entire political dimension, an entire history of them reneging on certain agreements. Like this is just so stupid.
Sorry, was a human shield. Would you accept that argument?
That's not the question, though. 'cause
Would you accept that argument?
You're making up a random story that what my mother is held captive.
Hamas
and then-
using Palestinians as human shields is not a justification to indiscriminately bomb the hell out of that region, knowing full well that the majority of people who are going to end up dying are not Hamas militants who are underground in the tunnels, okay? Okay, it's the innocent civilians.
No, they're not just, they haven't been hiding in their tunnels since October 7th. They've been using civilian infrastructure to shoot people. She's just so wrong on so many things here.
Millions who are going to lose their lives. And the flippant behavior that I see from the West in regard to all of those innocent people losing their lives disgusts me. Okay, seeing people having to leave, vacate their homes, everything that they've known, being forced to leave the land that they have. That is exactly what happened to Armenians. That is exactly what happened during the genocide. And the fact that the United States is just willy-nilly providing cover for that behavior absolutely disgusts me. Israel has a right to defend itself. How it defends itself is where we should have that conversation.
That's
Sending
true.
special ops in to get Hamas? Hell yeah.
But the special ops are never going to be able to take care of fucking 45,000 militants, right? They're going into an extremely hostile area full of those militants, right? We wouldn't have fought the entire like Afghanistan war, which was the most justified war in the Middle East that the US has done, right? We wouldn't fight them with only spec ops, right? We would send spec ops into, I don't know, say to attack the what was his fucking name? Osama bin Laden, right? Yeah, obviously, because that was out in the middle of the fucking country, right? It was one fucking building or a couple, like a building in like a complex, right? And you could just put a fucking helicopter out there, send in like a squad of spec ops, right? And get the fuck out. But you can't do that in Gaza. You can't do that in Gaza. It's one of the most densely populated places on earth. You're not going to do that in Gaza. Spec ops is not the answer here because it won't achieve the military goals. It's just sending people on suicide missions.
Go get them. But the idea that all of these innocent kids should lose their lives as a result of this, just I don't believe it. I will never support it. And in the long run, that is going to make Israeli civilians less safe, not more safe. It breeds more extremism. And by the way, it's dragging us into a broader war. Okay? You have the air.
I also don't think that we're going to have a broader war out of this at this point. If we were going to have a broader regional conflict, it probably would have happened in the first couple of weeks. But we're like well past that now. I don't think anyone has an appetite for joining unless something like really crazy happens in the next, couple of months, right? I just greatly doubt any broader conflict happening, except for maybe Hezbollah. Maybe Hezbollah joins in the north, but I don't even know if that's necessarily going to happen. But yeah, I wouldn't bank on that happening.
Arab world like ready to go, and you have Israel under the leadership.
Hold on, there are no clean operations in war, right? Let's look at the other side of things though for a second. While there may not be any clean operations in war and civilian casualties are to be expected, especially in this conflict, we should also not just hand wave away the criticism by saying, oh, well, civilian casualties are going to happen. We can't just hand wave it. We have to explain what is legitimate and what is non-legitimate uses of force against civilian targets, right? Because a civilian target ceases to be a civilian target once there's a fucking missile launcher in it, right? Let's be clear about that. If Israel, I think that their strike on the refugee camp to take out one Hamas leader, that was probably completely fucking ridiculously. Well, I don't even think that in terms of legality you can justify it. But I'm not sure about that. Maybe it can be legally justified, but morally, if you're going after one guy, right, and you're in the area where Hamas is not going to have most of their people, yeah, at that point you could probably use spec ops in a refugee camp, right? But other than that, when it comes to the bombing of the big buildings, that's where we're going to be like, okay, was Hamas operating out of there? Yes. Okay. If so, it ceases to be a civilian target. It is now a military target. Hamas has turned this building into a military target. Okay, really quick. I haven't done a single shill all day. If you guys are watching on YouTube, please like the video. Okay, there's 6 of you guys watching over there. Only 3 likes. Please, let's change that shit. All right, become the change you want to see in the world. All right, by liking my stream. I am the only truth teller online. Everybody else who talks about politics is bought by the deep state, and I am the only truth sayer. All right, and that's why the government is constantly after me. That's why I got banned from Twitch, because I just told the truth too much. So please like the stream. There's 1 like. Now there's 7 people. We can bump that up 5. There we go. That's what I like to see. Why would I de-anonymize myself on YouTube, you dumb hooker? Wait, what do you mean de-anonymize yourself? Oh, wait, you're right. We first met on Kick, 5T You started watching on Kick. Got it.
Of Netanyahu acting incredibly belligerent.
You can still
doing
like the
airstrikes
stream.
in freaking Lebanon.
I can't see that shit.
Talking about going to war in Iran. We're going to bring in all of these Arab countries. You think the United States is going to stay out of that? Hell no. We're going to be dragged into more forever wars. I just think it's so destructive, so stupid.
But in this case, if every Arab nation decided, which I don't think they're going to, and anybody that starts talking about that at this point, at the beginning, it was a lot more justifiable to be worried about a regional conflict. At this point, I think that I heard a military historian who has like some degree in political science. I can't remember who it was, but they said something along the lines of usually when we see countries get brought into like a conflict that is far away from them or brought into a conflict later on, it's usually within the first like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Like the only like notable exception that I remember him bringing up was the US into World War II. But again, when did that happen? That happened after we got bombed at Pearl Harbor. So we were directly attacked, right? It's not like we just joined because we wanted to. Which is what would be happening here, right? Because Israel's not going to attack every fucking Arab state. So, nah, isn't the Saudis still going through with their deal with Israel? I think that those talks are on pause because of this. That's one of the not justifications. One of the pretexts for the October 7th attack.
We're not thinking critically and strategically about how to help our ally Israel while also preventing the reproduction of more extremism.
Yeah, the extremism is never going to go away.
It's not
That's the foundation of what Hamas
it's not
is.
Go away.
In their founding doctrine,
let me tell you something.
their entire doctrine is to eliminate every Jew that lives in Israel.
Let me
Do you
explain
acknowledge the founding doctrine of what Hamas is? The annihilation of all Jews?
I hate Hamas.
Okay.
Let me be clear.
So the question is, how do we annihilate them?
Well, you can't
I
fight.
need
That's
you
the
guys to
question.
understand
Nobody
something.
wants to see innocent
I need
civilians
you
killed.
to
Nobody,
understand something.
including the IDF.
If a government wiped out my entire family, I have nothing left to live for. And I'm real angry. Okay? That is a dangerous combination. And that is exactly what is being bred right now as we speak, as entire families are getting wiped out, civilian families.
That's true, but it misses the larger picture. Everything leading up to this October 7th attack was the reasons why these people got radicalized, right? And now the Hamas is, you know, again, they love using civilians as human shields, right? So right now it is their tactic, both for recruitment and for, just in general, to use those human shields because they, it helps them. It helps them. It helps them get away with some of the things that they're doing, and it increases their recruitment inside of Gaza. So now we have to destroy them. What happens after is the question of how do we stop this from happening again? Right now, the conversation needs to be about what is the acceptable use of force in Gaza, and then afterwards, the answer is how do we stop this from happening again? But it is not before then. Oh my God, I really do not want to die to this guy. I really want to not do this run again. So let's see if we can survive for just a second. Just a second. Just a second. Just a second. Please. God, my attacks are so fucking weak. Thank you.
In the Gaza.
I can tell you the afterwards part. Well, I feel like I already have a pretty good idea of what the afterwards part is going to be. The afterwards part is probably going to be some occupation of the Gaza Strip. Now, the issue with that is I probably support that to a certain degree. No, I almost definitely support that to a certain degree. But what I don't support is it being an indefinite or without timeline, right? Without timeline, the afterward occupation is just going to be worse for Israel, right? The afterwards has to be something along the lines of nation building on the part of Israel and the broader international community's part, right? So that a two-state solution could be worked towards. But as it stands right now, it's just not going to happen.
The Strip. I totally get that, the discourse in the United States has essentially dehumanized these people. But at the end of the day, they're innocent people in a terrible situation, and they don't deserve the absolute hell that they're dealing with right now.
Yes, that's why
the death
Hamas
and
has got to
destruction that they're
go.
dealing with right now. I want a peaceful two-state solution. This ain't the way to get it.
Yeah, we are in full
Yeah,
alignment,
say
full
that to
agreement that we
Hamas.
want to see zero civilian deaths. Nobody wants that, and I can assure you, the IDF, the Mossad, nobody wants civilian deaths. But we're looking for solutions here. If I'm standing in front of a human shield and I'm throwing missiles, bombs, grenades your way, and I'm
Yes.
trying to kill you as a civilian and your family, what would you do? If I'm trying to kill you and I'm standing in front of a civilian, I'm trying to kill you, Anna. What would you do?
Well, hold on. That's actually almost the right way to talk about this. I'm a gunman. I'm a Hamas person, and I'm shooting missiles at you, and I have a civilian in front of me, right? What would you do? And then he said, as a civilian. No, it's not as a civilian. It is as the government of Israel. What is your responsibility to, like, how is your responsibility to protect your people affected by that, right? And at the end of the day, it's not your responsibility, right? Your responsibility is to take out military targets that are trying to harm your civilians. That is your obligation as a state to provide security. Otherwise, there's literally no point in you being in power. That's why people live in countries, why they live under like a statehood, or a country that has statehood, that has a government, right? That has claims to power, a monopoly on violence. If they're not able to provide any security for you, the people have no reason to trust you for fucking anything, right? So it is your obligation as the country of Israel to take out Hamas. And if the civilians of, their area are getting in the way because they are deliberately using those civilians as shields, it is not your responsibility to worry about that too hard. Your responsibility is to take out all of the military targets, right? Now, that sounds super cold-hearted, right? But the bleeding heart side of that is you have to look at the strikes you're doing, and if you're not getting much military gain out of it, right? Like, you're not destroying missile pods, you're not destroying, anything like that, stockpiles, a bunch of troops. At that point, now you have to question, okay, well, now you guys are going overboard with things. Damn it. Fuck.
Hey, we can't kill civilians. We need a peaceful situation here.
I'm
or would
sorry.
you shoot back?
I apologize.
No. What would you do?
No, but you are making a hypothetical that doesn't exist right now.
If there
We're
was-
talking about IDF soldiers
that's literally
in the
what's
safety
going
of
on
their
right
remote
now.
location as they're dropping bombs. That is not what's happening right now.
No.
So we're not having a conversation about
What about
IDF
the 5,000 rockets
Are
that
you
were
going to let
fired?
me answer the question?
Let me answer. What about the 5,000 rockets that were fired on Israel that killed?
Did you hear about the one where 17 infantry soldiers who were about to rush the Jabalia camp, and out of nowhere came out 100 children who stood side by side and blocked the entrance to the camp? Honestly, I don't know the answer to that is, but like shooting children, I'm sorry, I'm never going to be on the side of shooting children. If there are children blocking the camp, now we have a major issue. If they're being held there against their will, I'm sorry, we just got to find a different way to go about it. You're not like, I don't think that there's any justification for shooting 100 children that are blocking your entrance to the camp. There might be in some strange world, some aspect to that changes my opinion on that, but it would have to be such an unbelievably extraordinary circumstance to justify the shooting of children.
Civilians.
Well,
so what do you do there?
This is
you
what
just
we do.
say, hey,
This is
look,
what we do.
until we identify.
Yeah, also, were they armed children? Don't you think this is some sort of comic book level brainwashing though? No, I don't think that that's comic book brainwashing level shit. Because if you're born and raised in a fucking refugee camp or like Gaza, yeah, you probably have reason to be radicalized. The information that you have access to is probably going to be much different than the information that we have access to. And all you're seeing is a bunch of people that you know and love, including your family members, possibly including you, that are getting fucking shelled on a, semi-regular basis from the other side, right? And then the information that you're getting is very different than what the rest of the world is getting. I understand why people, even even children, I don't think it's brainwashing, right? Both sides have done inhuman fucking things to each other, right? And some of the Zionist propaganda that I've seen, right? Like, I'm sorry to Eris lovers out there, but her level of engagement on this is actually like a little bit unhinged. Now, I'm not going to like sit here and say she's a total piece of shit that needs to, whatever the fuck Sunday has been saying about her, saying that she's like a genocide denier and all of that shit. I think that's a little overblown, right? But I understand why she has like these takes on it. But God fucking damn, the level of the insanity on both sides when it comes to the hardcore believers is like actually unhinged on both sides. That is not the reason. That is not the motivation for what they do. Do you think that the children are just what? Radicalized to be evil Muslims? What do you think the motivation is? Would you like me to show you? Well, I said link it to me on Discord, but like I do want to get through this, and I don't have super long left on stream where I can talk to you about a specific instance where I don't know any like counter narrative that you have.
Identify where this is coming
from. Are you going to let me answer the question?
Can't kill any civilians. Nobody wants civilians killed.
Here's what we do. The United States taxpayer funds the Iron Dome that intercepts all of those rockets. Okay,
that's good.
To pretend as though we're talking about two equal sides is ridiculous to me. It is an asymmetric.
Once again, if I have a gun and you have a gun, and the only difference between us is that I have a bulletproof vest, does that mean that we are unequal combatants? If you shoot at me first and I have a bulletproof vest and then I shoot at you, was I engaging in self-defense or no? The answer is obviously yes. Just because in this scenario, Israel has a bulletproof vest does not mean that they are, not worthy of defending themselves. Or that it's just like wholly unjustifiable that they have that. Like it doesn't have to be, a dueling square when it comes to military action, right? Where both sides have the exact same gun. You take 10 steps and then you're presto changeo, all good. Wow, I did that in exactly 30 minutes and got the second to last. What do you call it? Where is achievement? Okay, let's go. Oh no, I have 2 more. Damn it. Compared to, well, let's do global achievements. Gambler and risky business. Finish a run. Experience 15 tantrums in 1 run. Let's see if I can just get risky business.
Metrical war. So I'm happy. I am so happy that the United States did that.
Okay,
that
let's
the
see if
United
my
States helped
stream
fund the
crashes
Iron
when I
Dome
open up
to help
Discord.
keep Israel safe. The point that I'm trying to make right now is that the current effort in basically bombing the crap out of the Gaza Strip, first of all, breaks a bunch of international laws pertaining to war. Okay, so there are war crimes taking place as we speak, and we're here in the United States pretending like we don't see it, even though every other country in the world sees it, even though the UN Security Council sees it. So aside from doing war crimes, we're also creating a future in which Israel isn't going to be safe. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, don't you think the people of Israel know that?
Then why?
They've never had safety there.
Can I say one thing too?
You don't think that in 2006 when they did the disengagement, they pulled out of Gaza, they weren't aware of this? No doubt. This is whack-a-mole on the highest proportion. But at some point, if Hamas is leading Gaza, that is the government that is running Gaza, and their founding principle is the annihilation of everybody in Israel, what choice do you have? The IDF does not want to...
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you do that? Give me an actual, tangible solution.
She already said special ops.
So you just do precision.
Okay, if they loop on the special ops thing, I have nothing else to say. It is just retard mode. It is like actual fucking like no, it's not 2 IQ. It is coming from a good place, but just like completely unfeasible.
On the 6th, October 6th, 1,600 people died. I think a couple numbers.
We'll move
now in
on
Palestine,
from this if it's
over
just
6,000.
this.
Okay, how many of Hamas have been killed in that 6,000? Do you know? There's 44,000 in Palestine. How many of them were killed? Because mind you, the innocent lives are at 95%. How much Hamas? When's enough? I get it, Adam. Israel has to protect itself, and we have to support Israel protecting itself. It didn't protect itself that day. Nobody wants to talk about it. So now, how many lives is enough?
Step
Hamas
one, spec
killed,
off.
God rest
Step
all their
two,
souls,
win.
1,600 people that
True.
they raped, killed everything. So how many more civilians have to die in Palestine for it to be like, all right, we killed some Hamas, but if you think you're gonna wipe out all of Hamas, that's not gonna happen. So now what's the solution? Just flatten Palestine. Just get everybody, pack your shit and get out, because we're bombing everything, because that's all they're using as kids as shields. I'm pretty sure that they do, but Adam, it's not everywhere. The majority of the deaths are women and children, innocent people. It's not.
But go deeper, Vinny. Don't just no. Again, let's start with the
stop.
basic premise here that nobody wants innocent kids and civilians to be dying. Nobody.
Of course
The
not.
difference is when Hamas is literally raping and beheading children and raping women. Okay, give me a solution other than hey, don't kill innocent civilians. Give me something. You're saying precision defense,
Yeah, it's called
precision like
special
that.
forces,
Okay,
and we have those people.
when terrorists are embedded in schools, in hospitals, and in homes, how do you do this? Israel does what about roof knocks.
This is
You've got
the
10
one I
minutes to get the
wanted,
fuck out.
Where are they going,
Because
Adam?
missiles
When are they gonna bomb? Where
okay,
they going?
so at what point does the Arab countries surrounding take accountability? How many people is Egypt taking in? How many people is Jordan taking in? How many people is Lebanon taking in?
That's a stupid. They already have a ton of Palestinian refugees. Okay, they're looping on the Spec Ops thing. Let's watch what PZH linked, and then for the last 45 minutes to an hour of stream, we can look at any other memes that you guys want to go over. But let's see what this is. This is 5 minutes. Oh, it's your own video, bro. This is from your channel.
Many of these conflicts around the world, a competition of suffering.
No, that's not you.
That not only a competition also, in public opinion around the world, that each side wants to draw more and more attention to its immense pain and suffering. And there is no winner in this competition of suffering except Hamas. Because the terrorists of Hamas, they don't care about human suffering, at least they don't care about anything that happens in this world. This is something that I know for many Westerners is just difficult to grasp. That level of religious fanaticism that you have in my region of the world is in many ways incomprehensible to people who live in a place like London, to most of them. But we need to grapple with this. These are people, the Hamas terrorists, they don't care at all about what is happening in this world. They don't care about human suffering even on their side. They are fixated on the joys of paradise, which is why they are in love with death, and they are willing to just burn.
الإسرائيلي معروف عنه أنه بحب الحياة. إحنا بنضحي نعتبر أنه قتلانا شهداء. فأمنا يعني أهم أمنية عند أي واحد فلسطيني أنه يستشهد في سبيل الله دفاعا عن الأرض.
إسرائيل لا تضحي بشخص ولا يمكن لأي هدف أن تضحي بحياة إنسان. هم يخافوا من الموت. الموت عندهم شيء عجيب وكريه. إحنا نرحب بالموت. الفلسطيني بيحمل طفل على كتفه.
What is the point? That is not the motivation for what they do. Their motivation is to claim land that was where they lived for a very long time. Their motivation isn't to die, PZH. Otherwise, they would have just all grabbed guns like fucking chaos, fucking Zoica warriors from fucking Warhammer 40k. Take the entirety of their population, give them any weapon that they possibly could get their hands on, from like infants to fucking, 90-year-old people, and march into Israel to get fucking slaughtered. Okay? Their motivation is to serve God, to be a shaheed. I'm sorry. I just wholly disagree. When we look at the motivations behind any of the negotiations that have happened in the past, before and after Abbas was peaceful, or before Abbas became peaceful, after he became peaceful, most of this stuff was about, securing land rights, securing either voting rights or a state for the Palestinian people. Like, that's what the majority of this conflict in the timeline has been about. You could say you could say that the motivation for all of the Israeli soldiers, damn it, I did not mean to click that. Okay. We'll survive. We ball. Like, you can say that, but I don't think that this is a religious conflict at its core. I think at its core, the conflict is about the land itself. Not Abbas. No, I'm talking about Abbas, the leader of the PLO, when he was doing all of the negotiations, right? He was violent, and then he renounced the violence later on in life. Yeah? Or am I wrong on that?
في عصبة على جبينه مكتوب عليها كاتب أبوه للطفل على جبينه مشروع شهيد. مشروع شهيد يعني واحد بقول أنا بدي ابني يموت.
Exactly what our guest
الأم
says.
تقول أنا بخلف 6 أولاد مشان 3 يموتوا في الثورة. أنا بخلف أولاد مشان يروحوا شهداء. هذا مش موجود في العقل الصهيوني.
يعني معركة غير متكافئة. العزيمة الموجودة اليوم عند الفلسطيني لا يمكن أن يمتلكها.
لا يمكن أن تنتصري على من يريد أن يموت.
That's what I'm saying. The overwhelming majority of the time scale of this has to do with land rights. And I think that most of the people in Palestine probably are radicalized by the fact that people that they know, I don't think there's a single person in Gaza that doesn't know at least one person who has either died or has family who has died due to Israeli airstrikes. That's probably what is the inciting reason for most people to be radicalized.
اللي بيهرب من الموت لا يمكن أن ينتصر على من يرغب بالموت. شو صار بألمانيا في الحرب العالمية؟ مش في مدن تدمرت صحيح. بالكامل؟ صحيح. ألم تصبح بعدها إحدى الدول ال5 الأغنى في العالم؟ يدمروا. اللي بنى بيرجع بيبني. أنا أعتقد إنه الهدف كان من عند الأسود البشرية. الهدف كان إنه هذه في بنايات بدنا ندمرها لأنه بدنا نبنيها منيح بطرق هندسية أجمل وبتقنيات جديدة.
That's retarded.
هذا الحديث يصح دكتور طلال. وإذا ما كنا أمام كمان هذا الكم من الضحايا المدنيين الأبرياء دكتور.
كم الضحايا؟
يعني في عنا عدد عم يرتفع لحظة بلحظة.
قديش 2000؟
يعني هلا دائما في حصيلة عم بتكون يعني للأسف.
كم ضحت روسيا في حربها ضد النازية؟ 27 مليون.
They didn't sacrifice, they were murdered by Nazis. They didn't sacrifice those people. They didn't want 27 million people to be killed by the Nazis.
احنا لسه ما وصلنا للآلاف. روسيا حطت وضحت بقصد وبمعرفة.
Now you could say that they knowingly sacrificed all the people that went into Leningrad, or Stalingrad. That was a
مش إنه
hell of a
ما
fight.
كانتش عارفة إنه راح يموتوا. بدي يموت 27 مليون وتبقى روسيا. وهكذا نحن الفلسطينيين. موتي هلا في عندنا 2 مليون. موتي واحد منهم وأتمنى أن أكون أنا واحد منهم. شرف أن أنال أن أكون أنا شهيد. هذا الآن عندك مليونين بغزة. هيقضوا على المليونين؟ كيف يقضوا عليهم؟ ما ممكن نصهم مخبيين تحت الأرض في الخنادق.
انه نعمل حرب انه نفرجن اليهود انه احنا مش انه احنا مش شاطرين، احنا قوايا كمان. في ناس بيحبوا فلسطين بدهم يحاربوا وبيضحوا بدمهم عشان فلسطين. انا بدي اهزمهم بالحرب، بدي اهزمهم.
بيعلمونا انه الاقصى لنا والنا يعني لنا فلسطين والاراضي كلها لنا، لانهم بسبب كذبهم وانتهاكاتهم انهم يقولون ان الهيكل تحت المسجد الاقصى، ولا مره انه يكون الهيكل تحت المسجد الاقصى. انا بقرا اليهود بيعلمونا ان الصهيونيه هم اعدائنا وهم اهم شيء لازم يسووا فيهم عمليه.
يعني انهم بيعلمونا بالمدرسه انهم ارهابيين
بيحكوا لنا عن اليهود انهم هدول مش منيح وهدول بيقتلوا قاعدين بشبابنا. بيحكوا لنا هدول غدارين وبيحكوا لنا انه هدول بيغدرونا، هدول مش منيح. اذا بطعن بدعس عليهم، اعمل عمليات. كيف يعني؟ الدايس.
I mean, there's brainwashing, but I don't think it's brainwashing purely for religious reasons. There are legitimate. Okay, how about this? PZH, do you or do you not accept that there are legitimate reasons for Palestinians to hate the state of Israel? That's what I'll ask. Yeah, let me find videos of children of extreme Zionists. True. I know an extreme Zionist IRL. The kinds of crazy shit I've heard that they've said is pretty fucking pretty bad. Sure, there are legitimate reasons for Holocaust survivors to hate the Nazis. Yeah. Do you not think that when most people in like Palestinian controlled land know someone or like personally have someone, they know someone who has had someone that has died, or they personally know like have a family member who's been killed? You don't see them becoming terrorists? There were terrorist Zionist people in the Israeli, partition plan. We didn't see them becoming terrorists. There were arguably terrorist actions throughout Germany by, militant Jews who were fighting back against the Holocaust. What is this right here? I don't know why you're linking me to this person. I don't see survivors of the Rwanda genocide becoming terrorists either. Well, I don't know anything about that that conflict. It's very possible that there were people who were radicalized by the Rwandan genocide. Okay. Other memes. Now, something I know happened is Destiny confronted Lav. That might be fun to watch.
Will become.
Oh, it's another hour long. We'll skip forward until they actually
delete
talk
yourself
about
from my fucking page and unfollow me on Instagram. Straw, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
I think the bigger problem over even cyberbullying is loneliness.
Let's see here.
When I have publicly said that I diverge from Mr. Girl's feelings about everything, I've publicly said this I don't know how many times now. I really don't even have anything against you besides the fact that I just don't want to be.
Cool. So Mr. Girl's article is going to come out and it's going to say I was incredibly abusive in course.
This isn't the one I was looking for. That was a long time ago. Fuck. There was a video that had like the lead up to it. I don't want to see just like the crashing of the panel by Destiny. Let's look up tomfoolery Lav.
I don't know. If he acknowledges that it probably was bad to do, then that's all you can really hope for. If you kill.
How's it going?
It's going all right. How are you guys? Yeah, so the first time I ever called Destiny, he for some reason told his stream that Lav was calling him. I don't know
Watch
why.
January 6th versus 9/11? What do you mean January 6th versus 9/11? I don't know if I care about that.
Steve, you lose credibility when you say...
I don't want to watch these guys again. You know what, actually, I know that the Second Thought put out a video on authoritarianism that I haven't watched yet. Okay, we'll watch
really
this one. We'll watch this one, but give me a couple of seconds. I am going to run down and grab myself some water. But you know what we could do in the meantime while I'm running down and grabbing some water? Oh, where is it? Y'all can watch this epic rap battle of history one more time for all the Destiny simps out there.
Sit down, son, and let me tell
know,
you a tale about how to rescue your father from the belly of the whale. I traveled the
be right
world,
back.
filling stadiums wherever I go. Meanwhile, your wife's getting fucked while you're playing Factorial. Bisexual, blue hair, leftist. Yep, you check all the boxes for BPD, autism, and being obnoxious. Think because you talk fast and pull optical tricks, you're saying anything of substance will suck my dick. 40 years I studied philosophy and discovered the fact that my highest moral imperative is kicking your ass and saving the West from postmodern neo-Marxists like you. You left your webcam on, Steven. How about you clean your room? When I'm finished with you, I will have converted your fans. They'll be so moved by my arguments that they'll stop being trans. I offer young men hope, meaning, knowledge, and facts. Your fans watch you defend incest? Yeah, good luck with that. Sorry, Steven. You know I had to do it to ya. Steven? Oh, God.
I'm a little disappointed. I thought we were here to debate, but the metaphysics of the back of my hand eating your face. Not listen to dog shit ad homs while you try not to cry. But if you want to make this blood sports, you pick the wrong guy. Every time I see you, you're fucking crying and bitching and seething and sucking the cock of a religion you don't even believe in. And losing your license, so they're gonna rescind your diploma. When I'm finished with you, you'll wish that you were back in a coma. You were semi-coherent as a professor back in the day, before your obsession with dick surgery rotted your brain. The Benzos fuck your mind, Jordan. You can't get back on top of this. Leave you sucking dick for Percocets like Milo Yiannopoulos. It was Hassan, Fox, Bob, 7 Max, and yourself. When the manifesto drops, you'll be another notch in the belt. And when it's all over, Jordan, you ain't getting to heaven, cause you just got your ass wrecked by a dude who's 5'7". Okay.
All right, if you want to see the rest of that, then Jordan Peterson versus Destiny, the rap battle. All right, we haven't laughed at Second Thought in a hot second for one of his videos. We've only laughed at him for saying that there are no such thing as civilians in Gaza. Or, I'm sorry, Israel. We haven't laughed at his actual videos in a hot second, so let's do that. Uh-oh. Stream is having a rough time. Let's close out Discord, see if that helps. Okay, looks like we're stable again. All right, let's actually do it.
This episode is brought to you by Ground News. Authoritarianism, the practice of eating only people who have published books. Wait.
Oh, man. Never forget that this is like Tumblr tier humor that we're going to get out of Second Thought. I always fucking forget that every time we load up his videos. But like Tumblr tier 2012 fucking humor. It is just like the most anachronistic shit. Oops.
This episode is brought to you Authoritarianism, the practice of eating
Just
only people who have
unbelievable.
published books. Wait, that's not right. Authoritarianism, truly one of the words of all time. A decadent 7 syllables long and wonderfully vague. If you've ever had a conversation about politics, and if you're watching this channel, I'm sure you have, you've likely heard someone use the term, or maybe you've even used it yourself. It's popular in pretty much every corner of the mainstream political spectrum. Liberals, conservatives, the dreaded centrists, and even some lefty groups like anarchists and libertarian socialists. But what does it mean? And what gives it so much weight in the political discourse? Well, that's what this video is about. We've got a pretty poor understanding of what authority is here in the West, but I bet we can fix that. Let's start with the generally accepted definition. Authoritarianism, favoring or enforcing.
I don't think that we have a bad idea of what that means here in the West. I think that the entire reason that, like, especially people in the United States have an idea of what authoritarianism is. Oh, damn it. I can't. It doesn't always give me tantrum. Fuck. The entire reason the United States was founded was because of authoritarianism, right? The unlawful taxation et cetera, et cetera. That's why we split off from the British. So I don't know if we can just say, oh, well, people in the West don't know what authoritarianism is. We have a bad idea of what that is. Our entire governmental system was set up in such a way as to show that the government has limitations so that they can't be authoritarian.
Forcing strict obedience to authority, especially that of the government, at the expense of personal freedom. Okay, this is a pretty bad definition if we're being honest. It mentions the government in there, but doesn't really commit to being political, just...
Favoring or enforcing strict obedience to authority, especially that of the government, at the expense of personal freedom. I think that that's fine. I think that's a pretty decent, you know, basic understanding of what authoritarianism is. But okay, let's keep going.
Kinda, when you want people to follow the rules. That's not super helpful when we're trying to nail down a heavily...
That is the shittiest way of reading that sentence of all time. The favoring of or enforcing of strict obedience, right? So we just kind of want people to follow the rules. In the United States and in other Western countries, guess what we have? We have discretion at every single level of the judicial system. From the individual police officers, when they pull you over, they have the discretion whether to actually give you a ticket or to arrest you or to give you a warning, depending on what your offense is, right? They have the discretion to do that. I wouldn't say that that's authoritarianism, right? Usually authoritarianism also has baked into it strict obedience to authority of a particular party. But obviously that's not part of this definition that he's using here, but it's usually kind of baked into everything.
Used term, and one that deals with some serious topics. Okay, so what if we expand it to include how people generally use the term? Generally speaking, when someone uses the word authoritarian, they are often, but not always, using it as a term to demonize a system that is different from their own, regardless of the facts. They're using it as a synonym for totalitarian, a word you don't really hear much anymore.
Not necessarily,
it's sort of
but
fallen by the
often,
wayside
sure.
in favor of authoritarian. Kind of like using the word commie as a slur has been superseded by tanky in the last few years. Same idea, different era. Both of these words...
No, because commie and tanky have completely different connotations. Whereas authoritarianism and totalitarianism, they have different connotations, but people do use, I will agree with them, that authoritarianism is usually just a stand-in for totalitarianism. I do agree with that. But fuck, the idea, I don't know, it's just so fucking stupid.
Authoritarian and totalitarian.
Like 99% of commies are tankies? No, I wouldn't agree with that percent either. Like commies could be anyone who is a socialist, communist. Fuck, people use it to talk about Democrats a lot of the time. Whereas like a tanky is a specific kind of like socialist, communist, whatever the fuck, that is like hardcore defending of everything Stalin ever did, that says North Korea is a like wonderful paradise, and most communists that like I've interacted with don't agree with that.
Have been leveled at fascism and communism, often in a direct attempt to conflate the two.
No, it's because both ideologies are authoritarian. Fascism is explicitly authoritarian, and then Marxism-Leninism, I believe, is, I mean, they say that they have a dictatorship of the proletariat, but by dictator of the proletariat, let's not pretend like they don't mean, you know, dictatorship of the party. That is what they mean.
This is largely due to the US's extreme anti-communism post-World War II, to the point that they'd lump in their former friends, the people without whom the Allies could not have won the war, with what most people believe to be the greatest evil in history.
People recognized before we fought the Nazis that the Soviet Union was authoritarian. I don't even know if totalitarian had become had been used or defined. I don't think that it was a word until the 20th century.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's all well and good. People use a political term vaguely to demonize their opponents. Big surprise. But we still need some specifics. What exactly makes a state authoritarian? Well, if you have a scroll through the comments of just about any political video that talks about socialism, you'll find people ready with their pre-written list of objections, usually bundled under the prime objection, that's authoritarian. Things on that list include the existence of large prisons or labor camps, a covert police force, state media, a strongman leader, censorship, that sort of thing. And to be fair, all those things do sound scary, and none of them are ideal. I think we can all agree that we'd love to live in a society where prisons didn't need to exist.
This is a guy who has made, was it for RT or was it for the Gray Zone on the Ukraine war? Does anybody know off the top of their head that Keffel's put out and then everybody started covering? He like made some video for either the Gray Zone or for RT to, you know, these things that are essentially state. One is definitely state media in RT, and one is essentially state media because it's the Gray Zone and they follow everything that the Russian media says.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we go any further, I want to emphasize that I'm not trying to attack anyone here. The objection to authoritarianism is present in a lot of different camps. People may define it a little differently. For example, a libertarian might call seatbelt laws authoritarian, while a liberal might consider the influence of the church on the government authoritarian. Meanwhile, my anarchist friends are yelling from the back of the room that the very existence of a state is authoritarian and we need to abolish bedtime. Again.
I don't think that a liberal would say that the influence of the church in the state is inherently authoritarian, right? Secular, which is what a liberal would want, a secular government. Like, for all of the theory that this guy, claims to read and all of his socialist friends, all of that, they do not understand liberalism at all.
Teasing, no offense intended. Okay, we all on the same page? Authoritarianism is a red flag for a lot of people, and there are some specific objections we can consider. So, let's consider them. Here's what we're going to do for the rest of the video. First, we'll look at the list of objections as understood by liberals. And I mean that in the broadest sense, liberals as in subjects of liberal states, not in the conservative versus liberal sense. Then we'll look at those same objections as understood by the left. Again, pretty broadly speaking. Basically everyone from social democrats and beyond. Then finally, we'll consider a better way to understand authority and authoritarianism. Sound good?
I hate this.
All right, liberal friends.
This has nothing to do with like the content of what he's saying, but it just like it irks me that there's like this huge genre of people online who will have clips of them setting up their setup for the video. I don't care about that. We know you have fucking soft boxes and light boxes and all this shit. I don't care. Just fucking show me the video.
I've got a pretty good idea of the kinds of places you feel are authoritarian. Top of the list, Soviet Union.
Oh, it was the Communist Party.
Perhaps the target of the most
CPUSA,
intense smear campaign in history. Then we've got Cuba, China, North Korea, and likely a handful of other projects. But I think it's safe to say
if he doesn't say that fucking North Korea is totalitarian, I'm going to lose my shit, guys.
That these are the big ones. When you look at any of these projects, it's not difficult to see the one thing they all have in common. They're all socialist. And when you see this, it's not entirely unreasonable to come to the conclusion that authoritarianism is a core feature of socialism. We'll address this a bit more thoroughly in a few minutes, but suffice it to say that in the West, we may have a slightly biased opinion on the matter.
Well, it's not that we have a slightly biased opinion on the matter to say that communism is like inherently authoritarian, right? Because technically, in a theoretical sense, technically it's not. But something to keep in consideration here is that, in effect, every single communist country that's ever come about has been authoritarian or totalitarian, depending on which one it was. Like, without exception. Either authoritarian or, like, full-on totalitarian. What? Take? Can you give me an exception of any country that wasn't, like, a small commune in France that lasted like 6 months? Give me one fucking example of any major country that was socialist/communist that did not devolve into authoritarianism, that didn't devolve into pogroms of people who were political dissidents, that didn't have explicit like state media, and any kind of information that was not approved of by the state was disallowed.
Through no fault of our own. We've just been subjected to nearly 100 years of Red Scare
would say that North Korea isn't real communism.
Everything we're taught growing up in the imperial core, especially in the US, points us towards the conclusion that communism is evil and capitalism is righteous. But here's the part where
Hold on, little bits. I literally just said that. On a theoretical level, it saying it does not require authoritarian or totalitarian, again, only on a theoretical level, right? But the problem is that in effect and the way that socialism, communism has kind of presented itself throughout history, there's just like no way. I don't think without like a fully utopian view of how to achieve socialism / communism that you're ever going to get this, non-totalitarian authoritarian state. Although I might be able to be pushed on whether or not it requires authoritarianism, I would just have to like really think about it. What about Chaz Chop? Yeah, totally not authoritarian or totalitarian.
Going to have to ask you to be willing to consider some unpleasant truths.
Not from what I've read.
And I don't say these
bits.
things to engage in whataboutism or because I'm anti-American or something. Quite the contrary. I believe that in order for any country to live up to the standards it sets for others, it needs to soberly reflect on the facts. And the facts indicate that everything we're taught about these awful authoritarian socialist countries, we are also guilty of, and often to a far greater degree.
That's just not true.
Let me elaborate. One thing that rarely gets the attention it deserves is how we talk about authoritarianism. And I mean that literally, like the very words we use. Take the DPRK. We never hear about the government of North Korea. We hear
He's gonna do it, guys. He's gonna do it, guys. He's gonna do it, guys. He's gonna do it, guys.
Hear about the Kim regime. This is common when Westerners talk about non-capitalist governments.
That's because it is a fucking like familial line. They don't have elections. They have a fucking monarchy. A monarchy in like a fourth world state. That's why they call it the Kim regime. Because it was Kim Jong-il, then Kim Jong-un, then Kim Jong... Oh, wait. It was Kim Il-sung, and then Kim Jong-il, and then now Kim Jong-un. What is the DPRK? Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or North Korea.
Or even capitalist ones that aren't vassal states of the US. They have a regime, we and our allies have a government. The way we talk about different systems goes a long way towards coloring our perception of them. People criticize labor camps or secret police or any number of other scary authoritarian words. But here's the thing.
These are bad things.
We have those too. And if you
we do not have secret police.
Look at the data, often to a far greater extent than any socialist project in history. We just don't call them by those names. We don't have secret police, we have plainclothes officers or the intelligence community.
Oh my god, secret police has a completely different connotation to it than fucking plainclothes officers. Secret police are like people that have like unlimited authority to enact shit from the state without basically any oversights. Basically everything they do is completely greenlit by the government in order to hold on to power, whereas plainclothes officers is just like a police officer who has all the rules and regulations that a normal officer would have, right? But they're not wearing officer's clothing. That's not what secret police means.
We don't have gulags, we have detention centers.
Gulags were places where like basically anyone who defied the state, people will say it's just their prison system, but like their prison system included basically anyone who disagreed with the state or the stated like goals of the proletarian regime, which was not full of proletarians, I'll tell you that fucking much. Gulags were places where inhumane treatment of prisoners was not just the norm, it was like actively encouraged. People did not expect to come back from the gulags. If you disagreed with the state, you got sent to the gulags. That is different from detention centers, whether you're talking about like at the border, which is a whole other, like you could make the argument for a concentration camp before you could a gulag. Like that's just fucking... He's taking two completely different concepts and putting them together like they're the same.
Which, by the way, house far more inmates than the Soviet Union ever did. And of course, we don't have slave labor, we have penal labor. We put inmates to work manufacturing hand sanitizer during a pandemic or fighting fires because enshrined in the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, slavery is illegal except as punishment for a crime. And a lot of the time, that crime is just being poor. A parking ticket you couldn't pay, getting caught with the same drug a rich person uses, but you don't have the money to buy yourself out.
I don't know if this is exactly how this works for, number one, okay? Number two, like, one second, I want to go back.
And of course, we don't have slave labor, we have penal labor. We put inmates to work.
Yeah, because slave labor and penal labor are different. Slave labor meaning involuntary, involuntary subjugation of people that you own, whether by the state or by the by like individual ownership, that these people haven't committed any crime, therefore they are just slaves. Whereas a like penal, like you can make arguments against labor, right? But there are good and bad arguments for that, but it's not slave labor, right? You can pay them below minimum wage. You could fight against that, right? But like the people in jail, would you rather them just like literally rot in a cell the entire time that they're in jail? Or like, would you like, there's a certain part of human psychology that wants to be productive and actually like accomplish things. And part of that is going to entail, unfortunately, work. And if you're in jail, it's really hard for you to find work unless you're stamping fucking, what do you call them? License plates, or working in a field, or putting out fires or some shit like that. And they get paid and they're able to buy stuff from the commissary. Whether you think that's a good or bad thing, that's fine. I personally am kind of on the fence about it in some ways and not in others. Like, I think that there should be probably better pay for that stuff, but like that aside, it's not slave labor.
Manufacturing hand sanitizer during a pandemic, or fighting fires because enshrined.
Video is crashing stream. Let's wait for it. What are we even arguing? This guy's just fucking retarded, Extreme Dad. Also, you had some really strong words. I didn't see them until I was done with stream, but you had some extreme words for me on my last stream. I wonder what I don't remember what it was about. I don't. Stream is buffering. Stream is down. It seems okay now. It keeps on going down to 0. Are we back? One second. Let me... Settings. Are we good? What did I say on the last stream? I don't know. You said like lying about a bunch of stuff. Chat. I'm gonna just keep on trying to go. If it's stuttering, let me know. But it looks like it's okay on YouTube. Okay.